Welcome back, viewers of the Indian Express. I am Flora Swai and we are covering the live election results of Maharashtra and Jharkhand Assembly Elections 2024. And with me, joining me in the studio today is Vandita Mishra, who's the National Opinion Editor of the Indian Express, and of course our correspondent from Jharkhand, Abhishek Angad. Before we dive into a discussion with the both of them, let's hear what Maharashtra CM Eknath Shinde has to say after BJP has managed to secure a landslide victory in Maharashtra. And of course, there is also Deputy CM Devendra Fadnavis's mother reacting to this news. Here's what they say.
आज मैं महाराष्ट्र के तमाम मतदाताओं को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ, उनका अभिनंदन करता हूँ, क्योंकि ये विक्ट्री जो है ये लैंडस्लाइड विक्ट्री है। ये मैंने कहा था कि महायुति को थम्पिंग मेजोरिटी मिलेगी और इसीलिए मैं तमाम मतदाता जो है, मेरी लाडली बहनाओं को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ, लाडले किसानों को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ और लाडले हमारे भाई हैं, लाडले सीनियर सिटीजन हैं, सभी वर्ग जो है, सभी वर्ग को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ कि उन्होंने ऐसी विजयश्री प्राप्त कर दी है कि न भूतो न भविष्य तो ऐसी विक्ट्री जो इस बार मिली है, जो 2-2.5 साल हमारी महायुति ने काम किया है। ये महायुति ने जो काम किया है उसके काम के ऊपर ये जनता ने शिक्का मुर्तब किया है, काम को तवज्जो दिया है, प्राथमिकता दी है और इसीलिए महायुति को इतनी बड़ी जीत हासिल हुई है। इसलिए मैं महायुति के पूरे महाराष्ट्र की जनता को तो धन्यवाद देता ही हूँ, उनका स्वागत करता हूँ, लेकिन महायुति के सभी कार्यकर्ताओं को भी धन्यवाद देता हूँ। उन्होंने जो काम किया है बहुत ही बढ़िया काम किया है और इस चुनाव में हमारे महायुति को जिताया है, इसलिए मैं बहुत बहुत उनका आभारी हूँ।
ऐसा आनंद काय मोजता येतो का? आनंदी आनंदगडे इकडे तिकडे सर्वीकडे।
मुझे बताइए कि आज का दिन आपके लिए कितना महत्वपूर्ण है और किस तरीके से आप आशीर्वाद दे रही है?
आज का दिन तो महत्वपूर्ण है ही। एक माँ के लिए इतना बड़ा अपना लड़का इतना पूरे महाराष्ट्र का नेता बन गया, बहुत बड़ा नेता, तो खुशी तो होने ही वाली है ना।
किस तरीके की मेहनत देवेंद्र जी ने की थी?
अरे वाह, मैंने बताया ना 24/7 उसकी मेहनत चल रही थी। कुछ भी नहीं, खाने की तरफ ध्यान नहीं, सोने की तरफ ध्यान नहीं, कुछ नहीं, सिर्फ क्या बोलते हैं प्रचार, सिर्फ प्रचार और प्रचार और प्रचार, बस। घर से बाहर
आशीर्वाद देंगे, मुख्यमंत्री बनेंगे?
हाँ, उसमें इसमें तो कोई यही नहीं है, मुख्यमंत्री तो बनेंगे 100%।
लाडली बहनों का आशीर्वाद मिला है?
हाँ, वो भी मिला है, लाडली बहनों का आशीर्वाद भी मिला है, लेकिन वो लाडली बहनों का आशीर्वाद वो जो ये हुई वो नहीं रहती, अगर ये प्रोग्राम में नहीं रहता तो भी देवेंद्र तो जीतने वाला था, कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं।
मेरे साथ इस वक्त देवेंद्र।
So that was Deputy CM Devendra Fadnavis's mother. Vandita, first reactions now, because the numbers are starting to consolidate, settle down a bit, and it looks like a clear victory for BJP singularly.
Absolutely.
And then the larger alliance, of course. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so the numbers that I can see right now on the scoreboard, it's 219 out of 288 for the Mahayuti in Maharashtra. That's an amazing landslide victory, and I don't think even those polls that gave the BJP a victory predicted that it would be such a big one. So yes, it's a completely comprehensive sweep of Maharashtra by the BJP. It is especially important because in the context of the Lok Sabha setback, the BJP had a setback in the Lok Sabha polls in in the national frame, that had put the BJP a bit on the defensive. The Haryana result countered a bit of that, and now Maharashtra is a very significant state. It's a resource-rich state. It is home to the country's financial capital. So this Maharashtra victory is bound to put the zing back in the BJP going ahead. So nationally, I think the paring down and the setback that had happened to the BJP would be almost countered by the Maharashtra victory now and the scale of the Maharashtra victory.
Absolutely. Vandita, you were traveling in Maharashtra and on the campaign trail, tell us what you saw, and do you think that this is what your experience has translated into?
So when I traveled in one region of Maharashtra, the Vidarbha region, and I was there for about 4 to 5 days. Now, what I wrote was, and what I saw was that it seemed to me that it had become a fragmented election, that it had come down not to parties but to local candidates. But I also wrote and I also saw that in a bid to address this fragmentation and to counter it and to impose a more homogeneous narrative, the BJP was doing 2 to 3 things, and those seem to have worked for the BJP as the results show. The first was they had brought the RSS back into their own campaign in a way that was much more involved and active than it had been in the past. I think the Lok Sabha setback taught them that lesson, that they needed full-on RSS involvement. The second was the polarization, the religious polarization narrative. So the Prime Minister, went very big with "Ek hai to safe hai," "Batenge to katenge," these slogans. And though in Maharashtra when you travel, and when I traveled this time, I heard constantly people saying that religious polarization does not work here because this is the state of Phule, Shahuji and Ambedkar, or that you would hear many times the religious polarization does not work here because Maharashtra is not Uttar Pradesh. But this has become formulaic. It is like, it is something that is good to say and good to hear, but may not necessarily capture the reality of the polarization that has seeped in even in the Maharashtra ground. And that was visible in many places. In fact, I wrote about the fact that polarization is bringing together castes that would be divided otherwise. For instance, the Marathas and the OBCs, who would otherwise be ranged on the other side of the divide on the Maratha reservation issue, but together on the need to protect the Hindu Samaj from the threat. The threat, if you push it hard enough, then you reach the definition of the threat, which is from the Muslim other. So against the fragmentation, the forces that were working to make a more coherent and homogeneous and uniform narrative were, the RSS, the polarization narrative, and also the schemes of the government like the Ladki Bahin Yojana. Now, just going by what I heard and saw, I would say that the Ladki Bahin Yojana is not the decisive factor here, because as many people who said that the Ladki Bahin Yojana, the 1500 rupee cash transfer to women, as many people as who said that this is great, there were many more that I heard who said, what does 1500 matter when at a time when prices are rising everywhere? So I would say, going by what I saw, that it is the religious polarization narrative that seems to have collapsed the distinctions between the different regions in a state of very high inequalities, and also addressed the fragmentation on the ground because of voters become cynical about party politics. Voters had become, that cynicism was also visible. The fact that parties split, parties break up, and somebody you vote on a one party symbol will simply move to another party after he is elected or she is elected. So I think there were forces of fragmentation, but then the BJP was able to counter those forces of fragmentation with the help primarily, I would say, of religious polarization, the RSS and the government scheme.
Absolutely. Vandita, we are also joined by Abhishek Angad, our correspondent from Jharkhand. Abhishek, that was the Maharashtra story, but in Jharkhand it looks like JMM and Congress alliance is plowing through, aren't they?
Yeah, so they are ahead in 51 seats, and I was just listening to Vandita, and sort of polarization worked in Maharashtra, but here I think it didn't work because the tribal communities sort of anyway have this suspicious feeling against the BJP since the Raghubar Das-led government attempted to tweak the land laws in 2016-17. So since then, there have been a debacle of BJP in the state, even in the tribal region.
Right.
And that's why if we see in this election, 2024 Lok Sabha, they did not win a single tribal seat when compared to Chhattisgarh or Madhya Pradesh, where they won almost all tribal reserved seats. And
Correct.
that's why here now we will be clear on how many seats they have won in this election, but I don't think they have won more than 4 or 5 tribal seats altogether.
Of course. Vandita, coming back to you and back to Maharashtra, how big is this of a moral booster for the BJP? Because, the alliance together and BJP also, they got a beating when it came to Lok Sabha.
No, it's a tremendous morale booster, and Parliament starts on Monday, and so BJP is going to go there with a new zest, and the Congress is going to be on the back foot, even though they are going to try and raise the Adani issue, the Adani indictment in the US. But I think the Maharashtra victory for the BJP is going to lead to a new kind of rearranged power equation in the House and even outside it. But I think, as much as it is the BJP's day today in Maharashtra, I think that there are things that, our analysis also follows the BJP's way of winner takes all, that once you win, then everything you did was right and everything the other guy did was wrong. I think there are some things in this victory that the BJP also has to probably, even though, it's the one that won, there are still lessons to draw perhaps. And I think one of those lessons would be this victory, this campaign in Maharashtra was actually not led by Modi front and center. Right. Even traveling in Maharashtra, you could see that even on the posters, unlike in the Lok Sabha election, it was not Modi who was primarily on the ticket. It was the local leadership and a host of, the RSS outfits, the BJP leaders, the different supporting parties. So it was not Modi who was ruling the roost or the campaign poster alone. Perhaps there's a lesson there, I don't know. Over the years, from the time that he swept 2014 and represented hope for many, many across states, I think there has been a diminishing also of the Modi factor, where it has become one of the BJP's strengths and not the BJP strength. And I think the victory in Maharashtra, Modi is one of the factors in it. He is not the overarching factor in it. And that perhaps is something that the BJP also perhaps needs to look at.
We'll circle back to that. You said that Modi is, not the pious de resistance probably that BJP generally makes him to be in their campaign narrative. Do you think that it's not about alliances anymore? It's more very candidate specific, very region specific, very issue specific, and that is the formula that, or the permutation and combination that the BJP and the Mahayuti alliance in the larger context seem to have cracked.
Now, if it was, getting the local configuration right, then it would be an amazing coincidence or an amazing engineering to get all the 223 local configurations right
Yeah.
for the Mahayuti. I think this sweep says that it was not a local configuration election. I think we have to look at what worked for the BJP across regions, across constituencies in such a large number, which overrode the local configuration. I think this is a pan-state sweep that the BJP has achieved, and there has to be some kind of a pan-state factor. Now, if that pan-state factor is not Modi, and it doesn't seem that it is Modi, because even, like I said, even in the campaign, he was not the towering figure that he used to be earlier. I think then we have to look at what it was. Now, as I said, that it could be the government schemes, or it could be the RSS, it could be religious polarization, or it could just be, or it could be that the BJP played the caste game much better than its opponent. Although if you saw, the Congress started with a sort of a consolidated Muslim vote, it also added to it a Dalit vote, which there was that factor of the constitution still being under danger, and it had a Maratha vote also because of the Maratha reservation issue. There was a large section that was, unhappy with the BJP not having given them a quota so far. And yet, it is the BJP that is ahead. So, we have to look at what it did right in all of these. And perhaps it was one of them, perhaps it was a combination of them. But it is something, either a single factor or a combination of factors that seems to have worked for the BJP across the state's regions. It is not confined to one region or one pocket. It is something that has worked across. So there is a pan-state factor or set of factors at work here for the BJP.
Hold on to that thought, Vandita. Abhishek, rounding off what Vandita said, that BJP's pan-state factor. What do you think did not work for the BJP, but the JMM sort of clinched it?
One of the major factors is that BJP did not latch on to the unemployment issue in Jharkhand, because lack of jobs is a very troubling issue and disturbing issue for the youths of Jharkhand. And while we were in the election phase, we saw that there was this excise recruitment examinations that were happening, and 14, 15 people have the student had died because of, we don't know what the reason were, but some had heart attacks, some had cardiac arrest while they were running. And this is a big disaster for a government who is going to on a election season the next 1 month. BJP initially took the issue, but again what they did was they made the infiltration as the major poll plank, and they did not latch on to all these issues, which could have actually troubled JMM. So one thing was heavily relying on the fact that what Himanta is taking his leaf from his playbook from Assam and bringing it in Jharkhand, which did not have any resonance across communities in most of the places. But still, Mr. Modi or Mr. Home Minister or even Himanta and all the BJP leaders have stuck to this polarization angle, and that's why it did not, interestingly, did not work in Jharkhand. Also because tribals are very suspicious of BJP since 2016-17. So any plank of the BJP, they are like weighing those in, like, and asking people around and then trying to understand if it is said in good faith or not.
In fact, interestingly, when Abhishek is talking about the lack of jobs and unemployment, in Maharashtra, these were so evident on the ground, the farmers' distress because of, the soya bean and the cotton crop, particularly selling below MSP, the fact that there was joblessness, the fact that in many parts there is a water crisis, the fact that in other parts one heard of, boys not getting married because they don't have jobs, and as a result the boys' family is giving Dahej to the girls' families to get the girl. Yeah. So when there is economic distress, it manifests itself in so many ways, and the economic distress was there for all to see, whether it was because of rising prices, because it was because of farmer distress, the farmers' crops not selling at MSP, or it was because of unemployment. And yet, it is from, evident from the results, the opposition was not able to capitalize or to articulate these issues in a way that they could have hurt the BJP or dented its prospects. In fact, the BJP seems to have done much better than anybody expected. Given that there was distress on the ground and anxiety and insecurity because of economic reasons, the opposition still failed. So this just points to it's not enough for issues to be there on the ground. These issues have to be articulated and framed by the opposition of the day. And if the opposition is unable to do that, then they will not translate electorally.
Right. Vandita, do you think that BJP sorted out its campaign messaging very early on with the help of RSS and also with the Shinde Sena and Ajit Pawar's NCP? Do you think that sort of buoyed their entire effort into these numbers?
I think BJP doesn't have a message. BJP always relies on a mix of messages, and yes, it seems to have got them completely right. I would still, just going by what I saw, I would say the ek hai to safe hai and batenge to katenge, those slogans which sent out a message that Hindu unity was the need of the hour, because if Hindus did not unite and rally together, some kind of threat loomed on the horizon. That threat was, when you talk to people, always defined as, coming from the Muslim other. And that is also what was implicit or actually not so implicit in the BJP's messaging. I would say this factor worked to unite and consolidate the vote for the BJP, coupled and combined with other factors like the BJP's scheme or the BJP's caste play, or the fact that the BJP was trying to also get the RSS to help it on the ground.
Absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned that BJP does not or did not have just a single message. It was a multi-layered message that worked in their favor. Do you think that this sort of takes away from the vote sharing?
From the vote sharing or
in the alliance?
I think the BJP is now in a position to dictate terms in the alliance, and for the BJP that is a big moment in Maharashtra, because so far the BJP has ridden on the coattails of the Shiv Sena. That was the arrangement always, that the Shiv Sena would be the bigger partner in the state and the BJP would be the bigger partner in the center. But now the BJP seems to have come on its own. It's dominant in the alliance that it leads, and this is a new moment, I think, for the BJP in Maharashtra.
So do you think now they can easily call shots on who the CM face will be?
Definitely. Definitely. Whether it is Devendra Fadnavis, I mean, everybody seems to be taking his name, and he is seen to have the trust and confidence of the big two at the center, and whether it seems most likely that it will be him, unless the BJP pulls a CM out of a hat, which it has done in many other states.
Abhishek, coming back to you, in Jharkhand, early in the morning we were talking about how this is a litmus test for the Soren family. What are the numbers that you see there? What is the narrative there?
Yeah, so am I audible, because your voice is breaking?
I can hear you.
All right. So I think, can you just repeat your question once more?
I said that early in the morning we were talking about how the Jharkhand Assembly elections are a litmus test for the Soren family, Hemant Soren and his wife Kalpana. So how is it looking for them now?
I mean, you have to congratulate they will congratulate the BJP for it, because it's BJP who made them the leaders. Because if some BJP leaders talk to me and say that if Hemant Soren was not sent to jail, BJP would have anyway won this state. I mean, this election. So first, it evoked a sentiment of the around the identity of being a tribal, that how a tribal minister is sent.
Hold on to that thought, Abhishek. Like you said, that's a very catchy statement you just made, that the Sorens have the BJP to thank. We have Vikas Pathak joining us now. Vikas, we were talking a couple of hours earlier when the Mahayuti alliance was just taking lead, and now it seems like the BJP has a very comfortable landslide victory in its bag.
Can you hear him?
Right. Coming back to you, Abhishek, you were saying.
Yeah. So I was saying that the first mistake that the BJP did, which off the record many people now agree and confide, saying that it was a mistake to send Hemant Soren in jail because it evoked a lot of sentiments among the tribal community. But it was not that only, because it also led to the find of Kalpana Soren as a leader. Had Hemant Soren was not sent to jail, Kalpana Soren would not have involved as a leader, but the kind of orator that she has become. Every leader in the alliance wanted at least 5 minutes of her time on the stage, telling some messages to the electorate. So that sort of charisma that Kalpana Soren has, and once I was following her during Lok Sabha election, I saw how she was also cutting across caste divide and barrier, and also resonating with a lot of women from upper caste in our Rajput community. So that's the aura of Kalpana Soren. It is another thing that she's trailing from her own constituency right now. But that's one thing that really helped Hemant and Kalpana. Of course, there was this entire plethora of welfare schemes that also worked in favor of the JMM-led government. And most predominantly, the entire machinery that, one thing that I think that it has to be given credit to Hemant Soren, how he took on the massive machinery of BJP and the entire election campaign that they had sort of leveled and reached here, because it was Home Minister, Prime Minister, and it was a lot of other union ministers and so many people coming from, and he and his wife, that's the only two face in most of the tribal constituencies and in other constituencies as well. Rahul Gandhi did come in some of the constituencies, but Hemant Soren and Kalpana Soren altogether held 200 plus rallies. So to give you an example, in one of the constituencies called Dumri, where JMM is leading and trailing simultaneously right now, and Jairam Mato, that rising leader who was contesting from there. So, the kind of mannerism that they were used. So Jairam Mato always used to stand on a vehicle on the top of the roof, and there he used to, make some connection with the electorate here. So there, Kalpana Soren also stood on the top of the vehicle. And sort of also, so it was that sort of messaging, people working behind Hemant and Kalpana, how to deliver that speech, what you have to say, and so a lot of things worked in favor of Hemant and Kalpana, and that the backroom team also have to be given credit to.
Absolutely, Abhishek. Vandita, we spoke about what worked for the BJP. Now, when it comes to Congress, now they have had a pan-India narrative sort of on how the BJP, if it comes to power, then it will change the constitution. Is it time to change that now?
I think the Congress really has to think hard about, so this narrative may have worked in the Lok Sabha results, in the Lok Sabha election, but what Congress has to see is whether, beyond raising fears about what the BJP might do, what does it have to say beyond that, in Maharashtra, when I was traveling, I remember, I met a Congress MP who, off the record, said that the two big failures of the Congress, which return to haunt it all the time, are one, that Rahul Gandhi is not seen as somebody who's held any responsibility. This person tells me that if Rahul Gandhi had taken up a ministry during the time of Manmohan Singh government, things would have panned out differently for the Congress. The BJP sweep would not have been as decisive as it was in 2014 and then again in 2019. So I think Rahul Gandhi, what he has done with his yatras, has more or less addressed that whole Pappu propaganda that the BJP had, labeled him with, tried to diminish him with. So he has climbed out of that corner, but he is not able to go beyond that much further, simply because over the last decade or so, or more, he is not seen as somebody who has delivered. He is only somebody who comes up with a slogan, goes on a yatra, but he has not delivered, held power and delivered on responsibility. So that is a big minus. Now the Congress has to figure out how to surmount that. And the second is that the Congress has not been comfortable with generation change. It is a party that still depends too much on families, powerful families, and also too much on the old guard in these powerful families. So both these things are something that the Congress has to address if it has to go forward from here.
From what the Congress has to address in Maharashtra to Abhishek in Jharkhand, what do you think worked for the Congress? Meanwhile, we are joined by Vikas Pathak. Vikas, can you hear me?
Yeah. Please tell me.
Yes. So, like I earlier said, when we spoke before, the BJP and the Mahayuti alliance was just inching closer to the majority mark, and now it seems like BJP has a comfortable landslide victory in its bag.
Yeah, very clearly so. In fact, the BJP alone, if you see, contested 149 seats out of 288. And it seems to be having a lead in over 120, around 125, 126 seats, which means that taken alone, the BJP is just, I would say, barely 20 seats short of a majority on its own, though it contested just 149 out of 288 seats. The vote share of the BJP, if you see it on the Election Commission website, is 25.5%, but that is out of the total 288. So if you see the vote share of the BJP per seat, I just calculated it. It is almost 50%, 49 point something. And another thing which is very important in this particular election is that since if you look at all these elections, we tend to see what are the pointers towards national politics. Now, if you look at Maharashtra, there are two big national parties, the BJP and the Congress. They were pitted against each other in around 74 seats, right? Out of Congress's 101 seats that it contested, it was pitted against the BJP in around 74 seats. Now, if you see how these two parties fared against each other, it's very interesting that the Congress has leads only in 12 out of 74 seats, only in 12. And the BJP has leads in around 60 seats. There's one seat in which MIM is ahead of both of them, and there are 7 seats in which there's a direct contest, but the Congress is not at number 2. It is below that. So the Congress's per seat vote share is 31 point something, 31.5. The BJP is around 50, 49 plus. So the thing is, if you look at the two national parties, Maharashtra has delivered, it would seem, a thumping verdict in favor of the BJP, which does not augur well for the opposition, because in the India bloc, the opposition alliance, it is the Congress that is the fulcrum of the alliance. So one election here or one election there may not matter. J&K, the opposition alliance won, though the Congress performed very badly even in J&K. It was basically Omar Abdullah's party that did well. Haryana, the Congress in a direct contest lost, though the vote share was not bad. Maharashtra, they have badly lost. Jharkhand, again, the opposition has won, but in Jharkhand, we see that it is JMM that is the engine of the winning alliance. So what does not augur well for opposition politics in India is that despite a jump in the tally of the Congress in the Lok Sabha elections, almost double. It came up to 99. So many people were expecting in the opposition that this is the beginning of the revival of the Congress. But Haryana and particularly Maharashtra now seem to suggest that the Congress is still not being able to get its act together, which does not augur well for the opposition, and it augurs very well for the BJP because in any Lok Sabha election in future, unless the Congress picks itself up, there's no way of defeating the BJP.
Absolutely. But moving on to Jharkhand there, what do you think worked for the India bloc? What do you think the JMM and Congress alliance kind of tweaked and changed that gave them this clear lead in Jharkhand?
Look, Jharkhand seems to have picked up a pattern in this year at least that, in fact, even before this, because the Hemant Soren is the sitting chief minister, so they've done well in the past. But the thing is, what Jharkhand has picked up as a trend is that the tribal votes seem to be going overwhelmingly for the JMM and against the BJP. In the Lok Sabha, we saw that while the BJP did well in Jharkhand as a whole, it was ahead of the opposition alliance. But in all the 5 tribal seats, the BJP lost. This time, if you look at all the tribal belts of Jharkhand, it seems that it is the JMM almost all the way, which basically means, and as I think Abhishek was saying earlier, the fact that Hemant Soren went to jail. The BJP had been trying very hard to endear itself to the tribals. In fact, making Draupadi Murmu the president was a very symbolic gesture towards the Adivasis by the BJP. The problem that arose was that when you send Shibu Soren's son to Jharkhand, his family have been the tribal leaders of Jharkhand, politically speaking. I think it sent out a very wrong message among the tribals, and the BJP has not been able to recover from it. They tried their level best this time to somehow get the tribal vote because they tried to wed tribal issues to Hindutva as an ideology. So they picked up a concern that the RSS had been expressing in the context of Assam, that is illegal immigration from Bangladesh, where basically illegal Muslim immigration from Bangladesh. This was an old RSS issue in Assam, where it has resonated very well in the last few years. In fact, because it was a societal issue in Assam right from the 1980s, right? Even the Assam Accord talked about that. Now the thing is, from there, and of course in Tripura there has been an issue about illegal immigration from Bangladesh. The BJP tried to import that issue, which is basically an issue of the northeast, parts of the northeast, a bit in Bengal, but in Bengal it is generally the Dalits who have come, so they are technically Hindus, so to say. Now the thing is, here the BJP tried to import the Assam issue, saying that Sansal Pargana, the proportion of tribal population is falling, and they said that Hemant Soren is trying to settle, or has been settling, illegal immigrant Bangladeshi Muslims in Jharkhand. They first come to the madrasas, there their documents are made by the government, they become voters. So he's trying to enhance his vote bank. And then the BJP said that these illegal immigrants, what they do after that is they start marrying tribal girls, and then they start acquiring tribal lands. So this was something that was said over and over again in a bid to wed tribal concerns with Hindutva. But it seems that it found no resonance on the ground, because perhaps the situation is not what the BJP was trying to show it to be. Well, even on the religious front, if you look at the tribals of Jharkhand and neighboring parts of Chhattisgarh like Jashpur, you find that there's a significant section of tribals there who believe that they are neither Hindus nor are they Christians. The church has been active. RSS has been active, at least close to the border of Jharkhand, Jashpur in Chhattisgarh, where Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram of the RSS, the affiliate, is centered. So the thing is, there many a significant section of tribals believe that they have a third kind of a faith called Sarna religion, and their own festivals, Karma and Sarhul. So this bit of the BJP to try and polarize around the Hindu-Muslim lines and on illegal immigration does not seem to have worked at all in the tribal belts, and we see that JMM has done pretty well there.
Right. Abhishek, do you agree to what Vikas is saying, or do you have to add on something to that?
Largely I agree, and it's very interesting that this time BJP did not polarize the Christian tribals and the Sarna tribals. Initially during the Raghuvar Das tenure, sometimes there used to be certain incidents that they were happening where there is some tension between them because they always consider the missionary to be one which will anyway not vote for the BJP. So this time there was not a single word around how Sarna tribals and Christian tribals, they both are different, and sort of divide and bring more of Sarna towards them. So very interesting that BJP thought that they will use the Muslim and the polarization angle to bring and unite together the tribal community as a whole, but it didn't work. Also, because here in Jharkhand, that's not an issue. The issue in Jharkhand is unemployment and jobs. BJP started doing it well. It started attacking government on jobs. If they would have had single plank of jobs, I think would have been much better position now. But it sort of they had a muted campaign in around jobs, and it was all about how the infiltration has now gone into the system of Jharkhand. Sort of also calling Irfan Ansari an MLA or the former MLA Alamgir Alam, who has been sent to jail, is also caught of infiltrators who has come, and they have to be these two people mukt Jharkhand. So sort of alluding to these are also infiltrators. Entire JMM is built of infiltrators. So this did not work here in Jharkhand because these are not an issue in Jharkhand.
In fact, if I may add, Flora, the thing is, the campaign was not very rationally planned, because what the BJP was trying to tell people is that Shibu Soren's son, that is the JMM leader Hemant Soren, who is himself a tribal, whose core vote bank in Jharkhand is a tribal vote bank, is trying to reduce the population of his own constituency, the tribals, and trying to increase the Muslim population. Now, to kind of convince people of this, it is like saying that Akhilesh Yadav wants to reduce the population of Yadavs in UP, or Tejasvi wants to reduce the population of Yadavs in Bihar, or Jayant Chaudhary wants to reduce the Jat population, because it does not work that way. Let's face it that to accuse Hemant Soren of a cultural politics that is anti-tribal would not find resonance at all on the ground.
Absolutely. Vandita, if you had to cite one major takeaway for BJP from Maharashtra and from Jharkhand, and one major takeaway for Congress from Maharashtra and Jharkhand.
I think the large takeaway from both states, I would say, though the Congress has done well in one and so badly in the other, and the BJP has done so wonderfully in one and not so good at all in the other. But the large takeaway, which to my mind joins elections in recent times, not just these two, is that I think Congress consistently underestimates the challenge that the BJP poses. The BJP may win in one place because of one scheme, or because of addressing women, or farmers, or in one area and something else in the other area. But I think underpinning the BJP's challenge to the Congress, to the opposition, is that it has an idea of India that that it goes to the people with, that it pushes its own idea, packages it, communicates it relentlessly. And I think where the opposition still lags behind, is in proposing its alternative idea of India. And I think the opposition tries to localize the contest, tries to combat the BJP on pieces, bits and pieces of its larger narrative. Rather than taking on the entire narrative, it tries to break it down and pick out those parts that it feels more comfortable in combating. I think it is underestimating the extent to which the BJP has changed the terms of politics in India, shifted the center of gravity, and that even if it loses an election here or an election there, that remains, that change remains, and the Congress has to address that at some point. It has to rouse itself from its inertia and think of ideas of how to address that deeper challenge.
Absolutely. Vikas, anything you want to add to what just Vandita said? Abhishek, in case you want to. Yeah, Vikas, please go ahead.
Yeah. So when the BJP was rising, it was not a big power like it is today. The BJP, in that sense, while it was softer on the Hindutva plank because it did not have those many takers in those days. The BJP made it a point to keep hammering at the Congress way of doing secularism. So right from LK Advani, they coined the term appeasement politics and pseudo secularism. So the BJP somehow went ahead with the idea, and it used, say, the Shah Bano judgment in that context, and the fact that Uniform Civil Code had not come while the Hindu Code Bill was brought, the personal laws governing Muslims were not changed. So the BJP relentlessly said that Indian secularism, as practiced by the Congress, is not true secularism. So what has happened is that once the center of gravity, as Vandita said, has shifted, and Hindutva is now in pole position in large parts of India, the Congress is on the back foot because the Congress somehow thinks that if it plays the old secularism as it did, it might be accused of minority appeasement. At the same time, it cannot, in a way, it also has to be concerned about getting a fair share of Muslim votes too. So the Congress, what it is trying to avoid the core ideological debate. Of course, Rahul Gandhi about Savarkar here or there, or Rahul Gandhi uses a couple of terms like that. But by and large, the Congress regional leaders and others try not to get into that. But the BJP has been relentless in doing it. So, of course, right now, as Vandita said, that there is no direct challenge to Hindutva at a pan-Indian level on the ideological front. Let's not forget that 2014, when the Congress lost power, Modi won. Then an AK Antony committee was set up by the Congress to find out what went wrong. And they said that there was a perception among large sections of Hindus that the Congress was too soft on Muslims. And questions like Sachar committee, Ranganath Mishra committee came up. So right now the Congress is not confident because what it thinks is that it knows that while India, Hindus are divided into a number of castes. If on a polarizing issue they come together, the number is large enough to make Muslim votes irrelevant in many parts of India. So I think the Congress is not being able to resolve this as of now, and is trying not to get into a head-on debate on these issues, something that it did 20 years ago.
Right. Abhishek, before we move on, one thing if you had to point out that definitely did not work for the BJP, and one thing that definitely worked in favor of JMM and Congress alliance.
Before that, I just want to just respond to Vandita and Vikas. I think Congress needs to research from the tribal seats and to find out why tribal community from one particular region is not voting for the BJP since long. How Hindutva has not been able to percolate down here in this particular region, and that's a learning for a larger, and from there Congress can actually devise a plan for the larger plan for how do you oppose BJP's national plank of polarization. So that's one. Second, you're talking about how what BJP, it actually worked in favor of BJP. See, BJP's favor in Jharkhand is, of course, the discipline, the cadre that it brings, and the kind of money and the kind of campaign they do. And it was expected that they will win around between 25 to 30 seats, and they are doing the same thing.
Correct.
So, but what did not work for BJP is clearly it begins from 2022 when they started destabilizing Hemant Soren government by saying XYZ charges. They should have left it there. Sending him to jail leads to the emergence of a new leader. Both the leaders, Kalpana and Hemant, then clubs together and then goes on a 200 plus campaign tours across Jharkhand, which resonates with the electorate, and more of the welfare schemes, what BJP had done in different states, the same thing they had done. They were not able to counter the main issue here, which is the jobs problem.
Right. Moving on to what I had asked, that one thing if you had to say that worked in JMM and Congress's favor, and one thing that did not definitely work in BJP's favor.
So So it's clear that, see, Congress had a very muted campaign, and as Vikas said, that they are not trying to oppose the BJP rhetoric of polarization and Hindutva, is because they thought that here we will go behind what JMM does, and here it also had very muted campaign. Even in fact, the questions were asked to Hemant Soren why Congress is not aggressively campaigning in the state. So it was, I think, it's very well planned that if they try to do and oppose, it will also harm the JMM. So that's one thing what they had done. I think that's worked best for Congress, because Congress is now leading in 16 seats, and seemed it was perceived to be the weakest link in India alliance. It was BJP had actually counted on the fact that Congress would come down to single digits, and that's how they'll win the election. But that did not happen. So what it worked was the persistence of Congress to be the number 2 party in the state assembly and do a muted campaign behind JMM, so that they did not get crossed by the BJP and the BJP politics. So this has worked in favor of the entire JMM and Congress in the state. And what did not work for the BJP is basically going on and on with the mainstreaming of Hindutva and polarization campaign in the entire state, when the actual issue of the state was lack of jobs and unemployment. If they could have raised this issue, then the situation would have been very different now.
Absolutely. Vandita and Vikas, before I let you both go, now that BJP has secured a majority on its own, and most probably, even though the official word is not out yet, but most probably it is Devendra Fadnavis who's going to take to the helms of the state. Where does it position Eknath Shinde and Ajit Pawar?
Vikas, you want to take it first?
Yeah. I think we'll have to wait and see, because what happens is that the BJP, because it's a very complex scenario. The first challenge in front of Ajit Pawar and Eknath Shinde was to somehow remain relevant within the old politics of a united NCP and a united Shiv Sena. They split the parties. They got a jolt in the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. So many were saying that this is a do or die battle for Ajit Pawar, certainly, and to an extent it could also be for Eknath Shinde. Not that much Eknath Shinde, because the Ladki Bahin Yojana seemed to be working a bit in his favor as chief minister. But in the case of Ajit Pawar, it was a sword dangling over his head. But both, the challenge initial for both was to display their legitimacy in the eyes of the old voters of the united NCP and the united Shiv Sena, which have now split. That they have succeeded in doing. So now no one can deny that Eknath Shinde does represent a vote that was once maybe loyal to Balasaheb Thackeray. He's no less a legitimate claimant of it than Uddhav Thackeray, though he's not Balasaheb's son or related to him. Similarly, Ajit Pawar has also stepped into the Pawar legacy with this result very clearly. Now, these two things apart, what happens is that the BJP is now just 20 seats short of a majority on its own, which means had the BJP, we don't know, contested 200 seats, the BJP might have been past the majority mark in Maharashtra all alone. So the next challenge in front of them now would be that if this Mahayuti continues, this NDA, does it happen that the BJP eats them up eventually? The BJP does not need them. So we will have to wait and watch, because Eknath Shinde might lose his chief ministership, just as Devendra Fadnavis had once lost it. What is it? What does he have in it after that? Because being a sitting CM and then losing the chief ministership, that is one challenge. He will have to think about it. And secondly, in the next 5 years, if if Maharashtra has turned decisively at present towards the Mahayuti, they will be careful and cautious that a time does not come when a Mahayuti is not needed at all by the BJP. This is how, in fact, initially the Shiv Sena and BJP had split. Uddhav had split from the BJP because the BJP was growing, they believed, at the expense of the Shiv Sena, and the Shiv Sena might become irrelevant, which is why Uddhav Thackeray crossed over. The same challenge will now come to these two. At least they'll be alive to that possible challenge. We don't know whether this is a stable vote that the BJP will continue to get such votes in Maharashtra in future. But certainly the warning signs, even amid a victory, there are warning signs that go out to both the Mahayuti, both Ajit Pawar and Eknath Shinde. So let us wait and watch, because politicians are politicians, political parties are parties. They want to have a shot at power. At the same time, they also want to save the party. So I think they will both watch the developments very keenly, and they will also see how BJP behaves once it is very close to a majority.
Right, Vikas. Vandita, last word on the...
Yeah, so taking off from what Vikas was saying, so the Lok Sabha result of 2024 seemed to give us a certain message that the BJP on its own is not going to be able to be enough, so it has to get allies on board. And the BJP at the center, as we know, is crucially dependent on two allies, that is the TDP and the JDU. So there was this shift in discourse from talking about the BJP to talking about the NDA. Now with Maharashtra, with the BJP doing so handsomely within the Mahayuti, to an extent that it's Shinde Sena as well as the Ajit Pawar NCP may feel threatened that the BJP can be aggressive and adopt a go it alone strategy going ahead. I think this also now is going to be watched, the relationship of the BJP with its allies. So Maharashtra brings a new chapter in that story of BJP and allies. The Lok Sabha verdict had given one message, Maharashtra has given another, and it remains to be seen how these two are, whether they contradict each other, continue to contradict each other, or the BJP finds a certain middle way or a balance going ahead.
Absolutely. And that was Vandita Mishra, our national opinion editor, and we were also joined by senior journalist of Indian Express, Vikas Pathak, and our correspondent from Jharkhand, Abhishek Angad. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena's MP Priyanka Chaturvedi has to say. She has expressed surprise and concern over the results of the Maharashtra Assembly elections. She has questioned the fairness of the process and reflected that there's a significant shift from their strong Lok Sabha showing. She has raised doubts also on the credibility of the elections and cited public fears about the EVMs and the discrepancies between pre-election surveys. I'm sure she's talking about the exit polls and the actual outcome. Let's hear what Priyanka Chaturvedi has to say.
Sweets have been brought to Mumbai BJP office as Mahayuti crosses the majority mark in Maharashtra elections. Meanwhile, Shiv Sena Eknath Shinde factions leaders are also celebrating the win. As per projections, Mahayuti is ahead in 219 seats, while the MVA has a lead in 55. Other parties have managed to forge an early lead in 13 seats. The BJP-led Mahayuti coalition is hoping to secure another term, while Maha Vikas Aghadi alliance aims for a comeback. This is the first battle of alliances in Maharashtra post the splits, the Sena in 2022 and later the NCP in 2023. The big question is who will rule Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena, Devendra Fadnavis BJP or Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena UBT.
Even for me mentally, it's quite unacceptable कि इतना हमने आक्रोश देखकर भी वोट में कन्वर्ट नहीं हुआ, इस तरीके के नतीजे आए हैं. एक प्रश्न चिन्ह उठाता है कि क्या ये सही मायने में फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शन था. मैं बस यही कहूंगी कि बड़े हैरान करने वाले नतीजे आए हैं। जिस तरीके से लोकसभा में 151 असेंबलीज पे हमारी लीड थी, वो सिमट कर अगर इस नंबर पे आ गई है तो एक प्रश्न चिन्ह जरूर उठता है कि कैसे इतना डिफरेंस आ गया। जो भी सर्वेज चल रहे थे सब कांटे की टक्कर बता रहे थे। जो भी सर्वेज हो रहे थे उसमें महाविकास अघाड़ी को बढ़त दे रहे थे। बात सब बता रहे थे एज है। एक कांटे की टक्कर इस तरीके से हो जाना कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा आश्चर्यजनक भी है, सवालों के घेरे में भी आता है, और मन में मैं एक सेंस ऑफ सरप्राइज है कि जो हम जनता के बीच में देख रहे थे, महिलाओं के साथ देख रहे थे, पुरुषों के साथ देख रहे थे, आक्रोश जो था 1500 रुपए मिलने के बाद भी वो महिलाएं बता रही थी कि हम पे एहसान नहीं कर रहे हैं जिस तरीके से प्रचार कर रहे हैं, और उसके बाद ये इस तरीके के आउटकम आना, आई वुड से हमें कुछ टाइम लगेगा फॉर इट टू सिंक इन। क्लियरली अगर आप जैसे बार बार मन में एक शंका होती है कि जो पहली बार नहीं उठ रहा है, बार बार उठता जा रहा है कि क्या ईवीएम पे भी व्यापक चर्चा होनी चाहिए, स्टेक होल्डर से बात करनी चाहिए। इलेक्शन कमीशन उसको सीधे सीधे खारिज कर देता है रादर देन विनिंग ओवर द कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ द पीपल। कितनी महाराष्ट्र में कितनी जगहों पर मैं गई थी जहां पे वहां पे लोग आकर हमसे कहते थे वोट तो हम आपको देंगे ही, पर आप ईवीएम पर ध्यान दीजिएगा। सबने हमसे यही आकर कहते थे। तो ये क्योंकि इतना चेंज आया है फ्रॉम लोकसभा टू महाराष्ट्र का ये विधानसभा चुनाव, हैरान करने वाला है। और इस पे मैं मानती हूं कि इवन फॉर मी मेंटली इट्स क्वाइट अनएक्सेप्टेबल कि इतना हमने आक्रोश देखकर भी वोट में कन्वर्ट नहीं हुआ, इस तरीके के नतीजे आए हैं। एक प्रश्न चिन्ह उठाता है कि क्या ये सही मायने में फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शन था। इवन फॉर मी मेंटली इट्स क्वाइट अनएक्सेप्टेबल कि इतना हमने आक्रोश देखकर भी वोट में कन्वर्ट नहीं हुआ, इस तरीके के नतीजे आए हैं। एक प्रश्न चिन्ह उठाता है कि क्या ये सही मायने में फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शन था।
Vote counting underway for Jharkhand's 81 assembly constituencies, the JMM-led alliance is ahead in 49 seats, while the NDA is leading in 29. Chief Minister Hemant Soren is leading from Barhait Assembly constituency. However, his wife and JMM leader Kalpana Soren is trailing against BJP's Munia Devi. Former CM Champai Soren, who jumped ship from JMM to BJP, is leading in Seraikela. Key contests are shaping the high-stakes election featuring prominent politicians including former CMs and ministers. In Barhait, sitting MLA and Jharkhand CM Hemant Soren aims to solidify his position against BJP's Gamlial Hembrom. His wife Kalpana is also in a competitive race in Kande. Another critical seat, Seraikela, will see a showdown between former CM Champai Soren and JMM leader Ganesh Mahali. Additionally, BJP Jharkhand Unit Chief and State's first CM Babulal Marandi is set to challenge CPI-ML's Rajkumar Yadav. The exit polls have predicted a neck-and-neck battle between the JMM-led alliance and BJP in Jharkhand. However, at least 3 pollstars predict that BJP will cross the 41-seat majority mark in the state, while 2 give the edge to the India bloc. In 2019, the JMM-led alliance emerged victorious in 47 seats, placing itself comfortably above the majority mark, while the BJP backed 25 seats then.
Welcome back, viewers. Maharashtra has been pivotal in a lot of ways. The assembly elections were not just an existential test for 2 major regional parties, that is the Shiv Sena and the NCP. But apart from that, The state contributes to 10% of the country's GDP. Mumbai is home to major industry behemoths, that is the Reliance Industries and Tata Group. Two of country's major stock markets are also housed in Bombay, and of course the Hindi film industry. The Maharashtra Assembly elections also directly impact trade and commerce in the state and various parts of the state. And to talk about this, we are joined by Shumana Sarkar. She's the editor markets, chief of bureau in Bombay of Financial Express. Shumana, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are loud and clear.
Yes. Shumana, to start off, how are the markets looking this morning?
Well, just like it looks like a orange sweep across Maharashtra, it seems to be that on Monday morning when the markets open after the weekend break, it's going to be a green sweep on the exchanges across. Because more or less, most of, as per the exit polls, and as I was speaking to a lot of market traders and dealers, the overall sentiment was that it's going to be a clean sweep by the Mahayuti in Maharashtra. And that is predominantly seen as a sentimental positive. Per se, the state election is not like a very big trigger for the markets, because the policies, as you rightly pointed out, Maharashtra being a hub of a lot of industrial activities, it attracts almost 31% of FDI in the last couple of years. Policies, political decisions are crucial, but the fact that you already have a government in the center for next 5 years or so locked in, there isn't a huge apprehension. But yes, India Inc. was surely watching out for who the political heads would be in the state. And as my conversation with a few traders, as per the trends that we are seeing right now, indicates that it's going to be a sentimental positive for the markets. No huge, big movement, but surely a sentiment positive. And as you would have seen, and we almost got a signal of it towards the end of trade on Friday, because despite a week that was ravaged by geopolitical tension, the Adani Group stocks, despite that, a very big positive is both the Nifty and the Sensex. They have closed above their key psychological number, that is a 200-day moving average. So Nifty has closed comfortably above that 23,500 mark, and that is considered a very crucial floor. The fact that the markets closed for the week above that is seen as a sentiment positive, and no big negative reaction is expected going forward.
Absolutely. We will talk about the Adani indictment and its impact on the market, definitely. But at the outset, Shumana, I know the numbers are out, and we can see that it's a Mahayuti victory. Mostly it's a BJP victory. But just to break it down for our viewers, how were you bracing yourself, or how were the markets bracing themselves that in case there is a Mahayuti victory, this could happen, and in case there is a Maha Vikas Aghadi victory, then this could happen?
Like I told you, that 23,500 mark on the Nifty was a very, very important psychological point now in terms of trading analytics. And so most market watchers or most market observers were kind of very, very conscious about where the Nifty is closing. So if you can see on Friday's closing, Nifty has closed, if I can just check it closed at 23,900, which is like almost bordering towards the 24,000 level, which essentially shows that the investors are confident, the market is confident that going forward, it's not probably there won't be too much of a negative news coming in. So as a result, there is an overall expectation that and also from the market's perspective, like I told you, the election is only a sentiment. The election results, for that matter, is a sentiment positive for them. The bigger triggers, of course, continues to be the geopolitical condition that we see, escalation of tension between Russia and Ukraine, and also the Q3 earnings that are set to be declared in January. Not to mention There is GST, the winter session of the parliament is supposed to start. So those are the triggers that the markets is broadly watching out for at the moment.
Absolutely. Shimona, just to give it a little bit of context, can you tell us instances, maybe one or two, where, whoever becomes the CM or whoever becomes the ruling party in the state sort of has an impact on trade and markets?
In fact, it's a very interesting point that you have raised. We, on our research desk, we had made a small analysis of how the markets have performed every year or every assembly poll between 2004 and 2024. That is like, the last 2 decades or the last 20 years. So it's very interesting to see that if you see between 2004 to 2009, that particular period, the Nifty yield has been one of the highest, 165%, while the Sensex yield was 197%. Now, if I compare that to the 2009 to 2014 period, there has been a 53% yield on the Nifty and the Sensex, around 55% for both. But again, we see as a reform driven momentum that kind of started across the country in around 2014. At that point of time, again there is a pickup has happened. So, and between 2019 to 2024, this current period, the current government, the Nifty yield has been again around 119%, and the Sensex yield is 93.62%. So it is pretty much, if you can see, it's going in tandem with the trend that we see at the center, the trend that we see. Like I told you, most of these policies are kind of initiated and the final go ahead is from the center. So stability at the center is seen as a sentiment positive and a positive factor for industry that way.
Absolutely. Now you have an analysis of the last 20 years in terms of markets. If you had to outline in the last 5 years, let's say from 2019 up until now, have you seen any policy change at the administrative level, at the government level, that has sort of impacted markets, be it in a positive or a negative sense?
Like you pointed out rightly, that Maharashtra is one of the key industrial hubs. We have one of the biggest automotive hubs outside of Chennai in this, the Pune Chakan corridor or the Nashik corridor. So Maharashtra has been a direct beneficiary of any of the reforms or the initiatives that have been taken at the central level. So, and like I told you, that it has attracted a whopping FDI of 31% of the FDI that's come into the country. Maharashtra has been able to attract, so which essentially means there has been some kind of a positive percolation of whatever at the policy level. But yes, most of the policies are dictated by the center because these are all central government. There are some specific state government policies that you can talk of. For example, Monday morning, I will surely watch out for the real estate companies, the infrastructure companies, real estate, especially because that's a state subject and the government in power does have a say at the state level. So those are those specific pockets that I might watch out for. But that apart, it would be more or less a kind of a overall continuation of status. If I can say, it's a status quo as we have been seeing in terms of policy and its impact.
Absolutely. I want to take you back to 6 months ago, because we are talking about the Maharashtra elections in context with the Lok Sabha elections that happened 6 months ago. Do you remember how the markets behaved at that point?
So, like I was telling you, at the behest only, the market doesn't like surprises at all. So, if I can compare the exit poll and the results during the Lok Sabha, they were like in complete contrast. So that was one of the biggest factors. In this case, if I can dare say that we can look at a more a stable, more kind of a controlled response, measured response on Monday morning, because the exit polls had already there were exit polls that were already being announced. The markets was pricing in that the Mahayuti would continue. Yes, if the results were something completely radical, for example, if there was a clean sweep by the opposition, that could have been, there would have been room for surprises. Another big factor is that there is already
that was Shumana Sarkar, the markets analyst from the Financial Express and the chief of bureau in Bombay. We'll take you across to some numbers dump right now. Numbers are coming out as to who has won which seat, who is trailing, who is leading. First up, we'll go to Jharkhand. In Majgaon, JMM candidate Neeral Purti has clinched victory. Neeral Murthy is a Jharkhand Mukti Morcha candidate in the Majgaon assembly seat and has won by polling over 93,000 votes and winning by a margin of 59,190 votes. Purti's rival candidate, who is BJP's Barkuwar Gagrai, has polled 34,348 votes after all of 20 rounds of vote counts were completed. Similarly, JMM candidate Umakant Rajak has won the Chandan Kyari Assembly constituency by a margin of 33,000 votes. After all 16 rounds of counting were over, Rajak had polled more than 89,000 votes. Meanwhile, his closest rival of JKLM's Arjun Rajwar polled 55,727 votes. I think we have Shumana back with us. Shumana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, before moving on to the final question that I really want to ask you, let me just ask you, how has the Adani indictment in the last couple of days managed to shake markets? And while we are on this topic, what do you see happening in the days to come?
Like I was mentioning in my last question, the market doesn't like surprises. So, just like in case of the markets, it needs time to digest the news. And the fact that, the Maharashtra results have come out on Saturday and the markets will open on Monday, there is like a time for the markets to digest the news. So similarly, if you look at the Adani reaction, you will see while there was a knee-jerk reaction when the news came on Thursday morning, yesterday, interestingly, one of the top gainers on NSE was Adani Enterprises. So, which means the market takes time to digest the news. And as you would have seen in the previous case, the Hindenburg case, though at that point of time also, purely from the stock market perspective, there was a huge drop in the stock value, but eventually the stocks did recover ground and kind of went past those Hindenburg lows. So similarly, for the Adani, it is like Adani Group's current indictment. The US has levied some serious bribery charges. This morning, we got to know from a Reuters report that the US court filing has also shared WhatsApp details about the kind of bribe notes, as Reuters has put it, about the various transaction details. So it is again a wait and watch policy for us. The Adani Group CFO has taken to social media to point out some key details about how these charges are baseless, allegations are baseless. So it's a wait and watch situation for most of us. We will have to see how the situation pans out, and I guess the future of the stocks or the future of the businesses will be dependent on what the authorities come out with essentially.
Absolutely. Shumana, what are the market experts saying about the elections and its impact on the stock market?
So, like I was telling you, for most market experts, the fact that the election results are on expected lines makes it a less of a big event for the markets. At the current point, the market is very, very keenly watching out some of the key factors that going forward, the winter session of the parliament is supposed to begin next week. So that is one key thing, because some key banking reforms are supposed to be tabled in that. There's a GST meeting on December 21. That's also another big trigger for the markets. The RBI policy in December is more or less expected to be not a big game changer, because RBI doesn't look like in any mood to kind of tinker with rates at the moment, given the huge inflation numbers. So the next another big trigger for the markets is the January quarterly earnings. As you would know, the October earnings were not really up to the mark. It was India is in a soft earnings momentum kind of a time, and most traders or most market observers believe that this softness will continue, and growth momentum will perhaps be back by the second half of the next financial year, that is 2025 2026, the second half of that. So couple of quarters of pain is expected, so perhaps the market will also digest that, but no big losses seem on the cards as of now. And like I told you, all eyes are on these key 200-day moving average levels for the Sensex and the Nifty. And the Nifty closing about 23,500 is one of the biggest positives for the markets at the moment. And they look at it as an indicator of steady uptrend at the moment.
Right. Shubhana, if you had to list out a few major corporate investments that were made across Maharashtra between 2020 to 2024, what would they be?
See, the first and foremost, I would want to talk about what is top of the mind, the Hyundai investment that has happened just very recently in the first half of this year. We have seen Hyundai has taken over the Talegaon plant from GM. That plant was lying vacant, and Hyundai aims to not just enhance its car production from that particular plant, but it also means a huge investment from the India perspective. Give numbers in sheer number terms, this particular investment is like 6,000 crores that they are going to spend in revamping the GM's Talegaon plant, General Motors Talegaon plant. So that is one of the key investments that we have seen this particular year, and it's one of the big changes.
Absolutely. I know this could sound a little bit unrelated, but the GST Council meet is coming up on the 31st of December. It's going to be just less than a month away, at the heels of the Maharashtra elections. What do you expect to see there?
So, as you have rightly pointed out, the GST Council meet is again something that the market has been keenly watching out for, both in terms of the economic circle, the policy makers, the main market movers. It is one of the key factors that the market has been watching out for, and there is a lot of anticipation with some of the key rates, tinkering of the key rates. So but as of now there is no clear agenda that has been officially put out, so we will have to kind of wait and watch to see what are one of the key things that the market would be watching out is exemption on the insurance levy and the rate rationalization in several areas that have been earlier also discussed. So those are still the key things, but we will have to wait and watch and see what other aspects are discussed.
Absolutely. Whenever there is election announcement, be it on the voting day or be it on a result day, infrastructure and urban development somehow become the most top sectors that are searched for or looked at. Why so, and how do these two sectors sort of adjust themselves according to what comes out in the assembly results?
You're right. Infrastructure at the current moment in our country is one sector that has been kind of attracting a lot of investment, lot of interest, and there's a lot of work going on. If we break down infrastructure into subsets, if you look at the kind of road development that is happening across the country, the number of trains that are being introduced, train lines that have been put. Even if you just consider these small sects, you would see that there's huge investment that's happening, which also means it is kind of a way of job creation. Similarly, the power sector also is seeing huge investments. In that case, India has a target of 50% power generation through renewable sources by 2030. That is as per its COP26 commitments. So that is also that also entails huge investments. So these are all areas of not just investment, but it also means that these facilities are being created, job creation is there. So overall, it's giving economy a push.
Absolutely. Overall, now, Shumana, apart from Maharashtra, if we go back a little bit to Lok Sabha elections, 6 months ago, how did you see the markets react and how have they stabilized or destabilized in the last 6 months?
If you look at, I would take you back a little more, because this last year, from last Diwali to this Diwali, I would consider that it has been a stupendous run for the markets. They have scaled highs like it was some kind of a marathon that the markets were on. Both the Sensex and Nifty have touched their all-time highs in very recent terms. So that in many ways shows a lot of interest for the Indian markets. And this was one of the big reasons for this up move, was the continuous buying by the FIIs. That is the reason why in the last 2 months there have been, I'm sure there is a lot of chatter about the FI selling or FI outflows in the last couple of months. So that in some ways has put in it's a sentiment negative. It has kind of made investors a bit cautious about what is the future course of action. But that said, this period of FI selling has also been kind of a period when we have seen record buying by the mutual funds, and SIP collections are at all-time highs. So which means there is appetite within India to absorb the kind of selling that FIs. They have sold almost more than 1 lakh crore in the last October and November so far. If we kind of combine the two, it's almost more than 1.5 lakh crore of FI selling. But we don't see there's a significant amount of buying by local domestic investors too. And like I said, mutual fund SIPs have seen some record collection. So I think more or less the India story is there intact. There might not be a huge shake, but the broad trend is positive.
Absolutely. The beauty of elections is that the carousel never stops moving and you can't make everyone happy. I'm sure there were concerns on either side of the benches as to who would make the government in the state assembly and how it will pan out from there. What is the concern of markets now, if you have to name 3 concerns?
Geopolitics, you are very right. In terms of elections, it was not like such a huge factor for the markets, but I think concern number 1 for the markets at the moment is the geopolitical condition, the conflict between India, Russia and Ukraine, and how it can affect India, since India is a net importer for crude oil. So that always continues to remain like one of the key concerns for the markets. So yes, concern number 1 is no doubt geopolitics. Donald Trump's policies are something that the markets are watching for it right now. Not necessarily a concern, but obviously there is uncertainty till the time the policies are listed out and the market is able to digest that, how it helps the India cause, if it helps the India cause. So that is something that the markets are watching out. But that apart, one of the big things are the Q3 earnings. Q3 earnings is something the markets are really keen about, and to get some kind of indication that the growth story is intact, and that along with inflation are the 2 big local triggers that the markets are watching out for.
Absolutely, Shumana. Before we let you go, we have been speaking about stock markets in the broader context, in the larger scheme of things. But if we speak about trade especially, and the local industries, the smaller businesses, the MSMEs, how do you see these sectors reacting to the election results, and in tandem, how will these affect IPs in the stock market?
See, most of the time when we look at sectoral performances, it is mostly determined by the long-term trends, the key central policies, and the economic decisions taken. So, in that context, I would say that it's the broad trend will continue as we have been seeing, because there are most of these sectors are governed by central policies. At the state level, there are no major tweaks that can be expected, especially as the numbers show us that the current government is probably going to continue. So it is the broad trend for the sectors will perhaps continue as they have been, since no major policy changes is expected or is in the offing right away.
Absolutely. Shimona, if you had to pick one thing that you are looking forward to next, because the next all eyes will be on Delhi for the Delhi Assembly elections. So, what are you expecting? What are you hoping?
Delhi right now, it's a very dynamic situation. Again, you have somebody like a Kailash Gehlot who as part of AAP has been instrumental in introducing some key policies in Delhi, say the Delhi EV policy, the vehicle scrappage policies, Delhi infrastructure push, a lot of it. So Kailash Gehlot moving camps from AAP to BJP, surely that makes a difference. But I am no political expert, so we will watch out for what the political experts have to say about the potential election outcome, or what is expected, the general mood, and I guess then we'll let the market decide for itself how to take it forward from there.
Thank you for speaking to us, Shimona. That was Shimona Sarkar, markets editor and the chief of Bureau Mumbai for the Financial Express. Thank you for speaking to us, Shimona. Before Shimona joined us, we were talking about the numbers in Jharkhand and Maharashtra, how they are looking now. It's exactly 3 p.m. right now, and the India bloc has crossed the majority mark in leads in Jharkhand, and CM Hemant Soren is looks like he's slated to make a comeback again. And as our viewers, you can see on the screen, the NCP has already started celebrating. And there are drums and there are celebrations in the offices. And apart from that, let's get to you some numbers. In Jharkhand, CPI MLL candidate Chandradev Mahato has won the Sindri Assembly constituency by over 3,000 votes. That was a very narrow margin, and he won the seat by 3,471 votes. Mahato defeated BJP's Tara Devi, who polled at 1,827,000 votes at the end of 20 rounds of counting. Apart from that, Congress's Kumar Jaimangal bagged a Burmo Assembly seat. Congress candidate Kumar Jaimangal won this Burmo seat by over 29,000 votes, polling at 88,786 votes in total. Jaimangal defeated JKLM founder Jairam Kumar Mahato, who we were talking about in the morning, the 29-year-old tiger. And this was his poll debut. This was his party's poll debut as well. And Mahato received 59,689 votes at the end of 18 rounds of counting. Similarly, BJP's Kumar Ujjwal has bagged Simaria constituency by over 4,000 votes. He defeated his closest rival and JMM candidate Manoj Kumar Chandra by 4,001 votes. Ujjwal polled at around 1,11,906 votes at the end of 24 rounds of counting, while Chandra received 1,07,905 votes. Going to the Chaibasa Assembly constituency, JMM candidate Deepak Birua won that constituency by over 63,000 votes at the end of 21 rounds of counting. His closest rival, BJP's Geeta Balmuchu, polled at 41,880 votes as against bid was 1,05,878 votes. We had already told you that JMM candidate Neeral Purti clinched victory in Majgaon, and JMM's Umakant Rajak won the Chandan Kyari constituency as well. Similarly, JMM's another candidate, Yogendra Prasad, won the Gomia constituency by over 35,000 votes. And now moving on to Maharashtra, where the BJP has heaved a sigh of relief and is sitting pretty with the Mahayuti alliance leading in 225 seats so far, ahead of the MVA's 55 seats. And let's hear what Deputy CM Devendra Fadnavis has to say on this victory.
तीनही पक्षाचे नेते एकत्रित बसून ठरवतील. एकनाथराव शिंदेजी त्यांच्या पक्षाचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत, अजितदादा त्यांच्या पक्षाचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत, आणि आमचे जे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत त्यांना आमचं पार्लमेंटरी बोर्ड हे ऑथराईज करतं. ते बसून जो निर्णय घेतील तो निर्णय असेल. कुठलाही वाद नाही आहे, कुठलाही विवाद नाही. सीएम पद के ऊपर कोई भी विवाद यहाँ नहीं होने वाला, क्योंकि पहले दिन से ये तय है कि चुनाव जब संपन्न होगा तो चुनाव के बाद तीनों पार्टियां मिलकर इसको तय करेगी. हमारे नेता आदरणीय होम मिनिस्टर साहब ने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में ये बहुत स्पष्ट शब्दों में बताया है कि चुनाव के बाद तीनों पार्टियां बैठेगी और इसका निर्णय करेगी. अभी मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि हमारे एकनाथ शिंदे जी उनके पार्टी के अध्यक्ष हैं, अजित पवार जी उनकी पार्टी के अध्यक्ष हैं, और साथ में हमारे पार्टी के जो राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं उनको हमारा पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड ऑथराइज करता है. तो ये लोग बैठकर एक उचित निर्णय करेंगे. हमारे वरिष्ठ नेताओं से बातचीत करेंगे, हमारे पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड से बातचीत करेंगे. जो निर्णय होगा वो सबको मान्य होगा, इसमें कोई विवाद नहीं. बाबा आता पूर्ण रिझल्ट संपू द्या. आता मी आणि अजितदादा आता सीएम साहेबांकडे चाललो आहे. आम्ही बसून जरा पुढचा काय कार्यक्रम करायचा तो चॉकआउट करू आणि तुम्हाला नीट सांगू. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक प्रकार से लोगों ने अपना मैंडेट दे दिया. लोगों ने एकनाथ शिंदे जी को रियल शिवसेना के रूप में स्वीकार कर लिया है. बाला साहेब ठाकरे की हिंदू हृदय सम्राट शिवसेना प्रमुख बाला साहेब ठाकरे की जो शिवसेना है उसकी लेजिटिमेसी ये एकनाथ शिंदे जी को मिली है, और जो मूल एनसीपी है उसकी लेजिटिमेसी अजित पवार जी को मिली.
पोलरायझेशन करण्याचा प्रयत्न आवश्यक आणि विदर्भामध्ये पण वेगवेगळ्या ठिकाणी अशा स्वरूपाचा प्रचार केला गेला. तरी देखील विदर्भ आणि मराठवाडा यामध्ये प्रचंड भाजपाला यश मिळताना दिसतंय. याचं प्रमुख अॅनालिसिस काय?
मला असं वाटतं की जेव्हा वारंवार तुम्ही एका व्यक्तीला एका पक्षाला टार्गेट करता त्यावेळी तुम्ही जे टार्गेट करता त्यातली हवा पण निघून जाते आणि त्याची तीव्रताही कमी होते आणि लोकांना त्याचं सत्य समजतं. लोकांच्या मनात त्यानंतर एक प्रकारची सहानुभूती तयार होते. लोकांना लक्षात येतं की चुकीच्या पद्धतीने जो नारा दिला होता एक है तो सेफ है, महाराष्ट्रातल्या सर्व समाजातल्या लोकांनी एकत्रित येऊन हा नारा यशस्वी केलेला आहे. सगळ्यांनी एकत्रित मतदान केलेलं आहे आणि विशेष आभार आमच्या लाडक्या बहिणींचे देखील आहेत की ज्यांनी आम्हाला खूप आशीर्वाद दिलेला आहे. यासोबत खऱ्या अर्थानं जो फेक नरेटिव्ह तयार करण्यात आला होता त्या फेक नरेटिव्हच्या विरोधात लढणाऱ्या ज्या वेगवेगळ्या संघटना आहेत राष्ट्रीय विचारांच्या त्या संघटनांचा विजय आहे. आणि विशेषतः जे मतांचं ध्रुवीकरण करण्याचा प्रयत्न या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये महाविकास आघाडीने केला होता त्याच्या विरोधात लोकांमध्ये जनजागृती करणारे आमचे विविध पंथांचे जे संत आहेत त्यांचा देखील हा विजय आहे की ज्यांनी महाराष्ट्राला एक ठेवलाय. अशा सगळ्यांचा हा खऱ्या अर्थानं विजय आहे. गावामध्ये, पाड्यामध्ये, तांड्यामध्ये, वाडीमध्ये, वस्त्यांमध्ये सगळीकडे जाऊन ज्यांनी हा अलख जगवला त्यांचा विजय आहे. आणि खऱ्या अर्थानं महाराष्ट्रातले आमचे महायुतीचे जे लाखो कार्यकर्ते आहेत, या कार्यकर्त्यांचा विजय आहे. माननीय मुख्यमंत्री एकनाथराव शिंदेजी, मी, अजितदादा, आमचे रामदास आठवलेजी, आमचे सगळे मित्रपक्ष, आमच्या एकजुटीचा हा विजय आहे. त्याच्यामुळे मला असं वाटतं की प्रचंड मोठा अशा प्रकारचा विजय आज मिळालेला आहे. या निमित्ताने मी निश्चितपणे आमच्या देशाचे गृहमंत्री अमितभाई शहा यांचे देखील मनापासून आभार मानतो की ज्यांनी या ठिकाणी महाराष्ट्रामध्ये येऊन आमच्या कार्यकर्त्यांमध्ये ऊर्जा भरली. आमचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष नड्डाजी असतील, आमचे राजनाथ सिंगजी असतील, नितीन गडकरीजी असतील, सगळ्या राष्ट्रीय नेतृत्वाने आम्हाला या ठिकाणी अतिशय चांगल्या प्रकारे मार्गदर्शन केलं. आमचे प्रभारी असतील, या ठिकाणी आमच्या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये पियुषजी असतील, भूपेंद्रजी असतील, आमचे सगळे जेवढे या ठिकाणी आम्हाला मार्गदर्शन करत होते त्या सगळ्यांनी मला असं वाटतं की या विजयामध्ये हातभार लावलेला आहे. आणि निश्चितच महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेपुढे आम्ही नतमस्तक आहोत. याच्यापेक्षा जास्त आज या ठिकाणी काही बोलताच येत नाही. अक्षरशः साष्टांग दंडवत महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेला, ज्या महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेने हे प्रेम दिलेलं आहे. आणि मला असं वाटतं की जो काही एक विषारी प्रचार सातत्याने झाला त्या प्रचाराला महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेने आपल्या कृतीतून उत्तर दिलेलं आहे. आणि म्हणून अशा जनतेचा मी आभार मानतो, ज्यांनी ही एकी दाखवली आहे त्यांचा मी आभार मानतो. आणि मी सांगितलं होतं की आम्ही आधुनिक अभिमन्यू आहोत, आम्ही चक्रव्यूह तोडून दाखवू. तो चक्रव्यूह तुटलेला आहे आणि महाराष्ट्र मोदीजींच्या पाठीशी खंबीरपणे उभा आहे. आज महाराष्ट्र की जनता ने जो अप्रत्याशित इस प्रकार की जीत हमको दी है, इससे ये बात पूरी तरीके से स्थापित होती है कि महाराष्ट्र ये प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के पीछे है. और मोदी जी ने जो नारा दिया था, एक है तो सेफ है, इस नारे को यथार्थ में लाते हुए महाराष्ट्र के सभी समाज के सभी लोगों ने एकता दिखाते हुए महाराष्ट्र में मतदान किया है. और इसके कारण ये इतनी अच्छी जीत हमको मिली है. मैं विशेष रूप से हमारे लाडली बहनों का, लाडले भाइयों का, लाडले किसानों का, सभी का बहुत आभार व्यक्त करना चाहता हूं. लाडली बहनों ने तो बहुत आशीर्वाद हमको दिया है, जिसके कारण हम लोग निश्चित रूप से एक अच्छा विजय यहां पर संपन्न कर पाए. इसके साथ साथ लोकसभा में जिस फेक नैरेटिव को तैयार किया गया था और यहां पर जिन ताकतों ने अराजकता के माध्यम से फेक नैरेटिव को परकोलेट किया था, उनके खिलाफ लड़ने वाली सारी जो राष्ट्रीय ताकतें थी, जो राष्ट्रवादी विचारों की जितनी हमारी ताकतें थी, वो सारी ताकतों ने मैदान में उतरकर उस फेक नैरेटिव को समाप्त कर दिया. इसलिए उन सभी संगठनों का भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं जिन्होंने ये करके दिखाया. साथ साथ महाराष्ट्र में जो पोलराइजेशन का प्रयास किया गया था और किसी जाति विशेष, धर्म विशेष को, एक धर्म विशेष को पोलराइज करने का जो प्रयास किया गया था, मुझे लगता है वो प्रयास सफल नहीं हुआ. क्योंकि महाराष्ट्र में एक बहुत बड़ी परंपरा है, संतों की परंपरा है. इस परंपरा का निर्वाह करने वाले अलग अलग पंथों के जो हमारे सारे साधु संत हैं, उनका भी आशीर्वाद हमको मिला, जिन्होंने बिल्कुल गांव गांव तक जाकर अलख जगाया और एक रहने का संदेश दिया, जिसके कारण मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि एक बहुत अच्छा विजय हमको मिला है. विशेष रूप से हमारे मुख्यमंत्री एकनाथ शिंदे जी, उप मुख्यमंत्री अजितदादा पवार जी, रामदास आठवले जी और हमारे साथ की जितनी छोटी पार्टियां हैं, हम सब लोग एक साथ रहे, एक साथ मिलकर हमने ये काम किया. इसलिए मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इस एकता का ये विजय है. जो हमारी महायुति थी, अभेद्य इस प्रकार की महायुति थी, महायुति का ये विजय है, ऐसा मैं मानता हूं. और साथ साथ मैं हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी का तो आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, उनके कारण ही हमको ये जीत मिली है. लेकिन हमारे देश के गृह मंत्री श्री अमित शाह जी, जिन्होंने महाराष्ट्र में आकर कार्यकर्ताओं में एक ऊर्जा का संचार किया, मैं उनका भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे राष्ट्रीय नेतृत्व, हमारे नड्डा जी है, हमारे राजनाथ जी है, हमारे नितिन गडकरी जी है, इनका भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे जो चुनाव के प्रभारी है, हमारे जो महाराष्ट्र से मंत्री है, इन सभी का मैं बहुत दिल से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि पूरी पार्टी ताकत से हमारे साथ खड़ी हुई। और सबसे महत्व की बात है, हमारे नेताओं ने, हमारी पार्टी ने केवल बीजेपी की सीटों पर काम नहीं किया, हमारी पार्टी ने सारे के सारे महाराष्ट्र के जितने 288 सीटें थी, हमारे दोस्तों की सीटों पर भी काम किया। और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इसके कारण एक बहुत अच्छा यहाँ कार्य संपन्न हुआ। हमारे भूपेंद्र यादव जी, अश्विनी वैष्णव जी, हमारे शिवप्रकाश जी, इनका भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे यहाँ पर जो हमारे सारे अलग अलग प्रांतों से भी जिन लोगों ने हमको मदद की, उनका भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे पीयूष जी का मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, हमारे शिवराज सिंह चौहान जी का भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक प्रकार से सामूहिक रूप से हम लोग जब उतरे तो ये सामूहिक ताकत एक ऐसी ताकत बनी जिसने दिखा दिया कि महाराष्ट्र ये मोदी जी के ही साथ है।
अभिमन्यू वाली लाईन आणि सर 1.8 आमदार लागतात, अभिमन्यू की तरह भेज दिया सर।
ऐसा है, मैंने पहले ही कहा था कि मैं आधुनिक अभिमन्यु हूँ, चक्रव्यूह को भेदना जानता हूँ। हमने चक्रव्यूह को भेदा है और ये कोई मैं पहले भी कह रहा हूँ, वापिस कह रहा हूँ, इस विजय में मेरा बहुत छोटा उसमें मैं समझता हूँ कि सहभाग है। एक ये हमारी जो पूरी टीम है, इस टीम ने इस विजय को लाया है। मला असं वाटतं की कुठल्याही लोकशाहीमध्ये एक चांगला विरोधी पक्ष असणं हे गरजेचं आहे। त्यामुळे जे काही विरोधी पक्षाचे लोक निवडून आलेले आहेत त्यांचा आम्ही सन्मान करू। त्यांचा आवाज छोटा असो की मोठा असो, ते ज्या योग्य गोष्टी सांगतील त्या योग्य गोष्टींवर आम्ही त्यांना प्रतिसाद देऊ। पहले मराठी हो जातो फिर
ईव्हीएम पुन्हा कापर फोडताय, हिंमत असेल तर बॅलेट पेपरवर निवडणुका घ्या आता असं विरोधक म्हणतायत, काय सांगा?
आम्हाला ते माहितीच होतं, जर झारखंडमध्ये झारखंड मुक्ती मोर्चा जिंकला तर तिथलं ईव्हीएम टॅम्पर प्रूफ परफेक्ट एकदम जनमताचा कौल लोकशाहीचा विजय। आणि महाराष्ट्रामध्ये हे धाराशाही झाल्याबरोबर लोकशाही खतऱ्यात आलेली आहे, ईव्हीएम प्रॉब्लेम मध्ये आहे, ईव्हीएम टॅम्पर झालेला आहे। मला असं वाटतं की कुठेतरी अशा परिस्थितीमध्ये आत्मचिंतन केलं पाहिजे आणि खरी कारणं काय आहे। मला काय त्यांना सल्ला द्यायचा नाही आहे, मी तेवढा मोठाही नाही आहे, पण कधीतरी त्यांना खरी कारणं काय आहेत याचा विचार करावा लागेल।
मुख्यमंत्री पदाची स्वप्न पाहिली असे राष्ट्रवादी आणि काँग्रेसमधल्या बड्या नेत्यांचं या विधानसभा निवडणुकीमध्ये पराभव झालेला आहे।
असं लोकशाहीची हीच खरी मला असं वाटतं गंमत आहे की लोकशाहीमध्ये कोणाला जनता डोक्यावर घेईल आणि कोणाला जनता धाराशाही करेल हे सांगता येत नाही। या निवडणुकीने पुन्हा एकदा ते दाखवून दिलं।
जितकं मोठ्या प्रमाणामध्ये यश मिळालेलं आहे, मागच्या वेळेस दातृत्व दाखवत भाजपाने एकनाथ शिंदेना सीएम पद दिलं। आता सगळ्या तुमच्या लोकांच्या अनेक राजकीय नेत्यांची बाईट्स येत आहेत की बाबा प्रतिक्रिया येत आहेत की भाजपाला आता यश मिळालं तर भाजपाने मुख्यमंत्रीपद घ्यायला हवं।
साहेब, या बाबतीत माननीय अमितभाई शहांनी प्रेस कॉन्फरन्समध्ये क्लिअरली सांगितलेलं आहे, मुख्यमंत्रीपद हे कुठल्या निकषावर नाही, मुख्यमंत्रीपद तीनही पक्षाचे नेते एकत्रित बसून ठरवतील। एकनाथराव शिंदेजी त्यांच्या पक्षाचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत, अजितदादा त्यांच्या पक्षाचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत आणि आमचे जे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत त्यांना आमचं पार्लमेंटरी बोर्ड हे ऑथराईज करतं। ते बसून जो निर्णय घेतील तो निर्णय असेल, कुठलाही वाद नाही आहे, कुठलाही विवाद नाही।
सीएम पद क्या बीजेपी ने खाते?
सीएम पद के ऊपर कोई भी विवाद यहाँ नहीं होने वाला, क्योंकि पहले दिन से ये तय है कि चुनाव जब संपन्न होगा तो चुनाव के बाद तीनों पार्टियां मिलकर इसको तय करेगी। हमारे नेता आदरणीय होम मिनिस्टर साहब ने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में ये बहुत स्पष्ट शब्दों में बताया है कि चुनाव के बाद तीनों पार्टियां बैठेगी और इसका निर्णय करेगी। अभी मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि हमारे एकनाथ शिंदे जी उनके पार्टी के अध्यक्ष हैं, अजित पवार जी उनके पार्टी के अध्यक्ष हैं, और साथ में हमारे पार्टी के जो राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं उनको हमारा पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड ऑथराइज करता है, तो ये लोग बैठकर एक उचित निर्णय करेंगे, हमारे वरिष्ठ नेताओं से बातचीत करेंगे, हमारे पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड से बातचीत करेंगे, जो निर्णय होगा वो सबको मान्य होगा, इसमें कोई विवाद नहीं। बाबा आता पूर्ण रिझल्ट संपू द्या. आता मी आणि अजितदादा आता सीएम साहेबांकडे चाललो आहे. आम्ही बसून जरा पुढचा काय कार्यक्रम करायचा तो चॉकआउट करू आणि तुम्हाला नीट सांगू. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक प्रकार से लोगों ने अपना मैंडेट दे दिया. लोगों ने एकनाथ शिंदे जी को रियल शिवसेना के रूप में स्वीकार कर लिया है. बाळासाहेब ठाकरे की हिंदू हृदय सम्राट शिवसेना प्रमुख बाळासाहेब ठाकरे की जो शिवसेना है उसकी लेजिटिमसी ये एकनाथ शिंदे जी को मिली है और जो मूल एनसीपी है उसकी लेजिटिमसी अजित पवार जी को मिली है.
या निवडणुकीमध्ये कास्ट पोलरायझेशन करण्याचा प्रयत्न महाविकास आघाडीकडनं आवर्जून केला गेला, विशेषतः मराठवाड्यामध्ये आणि विदर्भामध्ये पण वेगवेगळ्या ठिकाणी अशा स्वरूपाचा प्रचार केला गेला. तरी देखील विदर्भ आणि मराठवाडा याच्यामध्ये प्रचंड भाजपला यश मिळताना दिसतंय. याचं प्रमुख ऍनालिसिस काय?
मला असं वाटतं की जेव्हा वारंवार तुम्ही एका व्यक्तीला एका पक्षाला टार्गेट करता त्यावेळी तुम्ही जे टार्गेट करता त्यातली हवा पण निघून जाते आणि त्याची तीव्रताही कमी होते आणि लोकांना त्याचं सत्य समजतं. लोकांच्या मनात त्यानंतर एक प्रकारची सहानुभूती तयार होते. लोकांना लक्षात येतं की चुकीच्या पद्धतीनं टार्गेट केलं जातं. तसंच आम्हाला महाविकास आघाडीने ठरवून या ठिकाणी टार्गेट केलं. पण मला असं वाटतं की हळूहळू लोकांनी लक्षात आलं, कारण आमचा ट्रॅक रेकॉर्ड चांगला आहे. आम्ही नेहमी पॉझिटिव्ह काम केलेलं आहे. त्यामुळे आमचा ट्रॅक रेकॉर्ड पाहून लोकांनी या ठिकाणी मतदान केलं. मला असं वाटतं की या निकालाने एक गोष्ट स्पष्ट केली आहे. हिंदू हृदय सम्राट शिवसेना प्रमुख बाळासाहेब ठाकरे यांची शिवसेना ही एकनाथराव शिंदेजींची शिवसेना आहे किंवा एकनाथराव शिंदेजी ज्या शिवसेनेचे प्रमुख आहेत तीच शिवसेना ही आता या ठिकाणी हिंदू हृदय सम्राट शिवसेना प्रमुख बाळासाहेब ठाकरेंची आहे. त्याची लेजिटिमसी जी आहे ती आता एकनाथराव शिंदेजींकडे आलेली आहे आणि तशीच राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेसची लेजिटिमसी जनतेनं अजितदादा पवारांना दिलेली आहे.
बोलणं झालं आईसोबत आणि अमित शहा.
आईचा तर फक्त आशीर्वाद घेतलाय, आईने आशीर्वाद दिलाय आणि अमितभाईंनी खूप आनंद व्यक्त केला आणि अमितभाईंनी या ठिकाणी आमचं अभिनंदन देखील केलं.
मराठा आरक्षण को लेकर बड़ा मुद्दा बना. इसके बावजूद आपकी पार्टी बड़ी जीत यहाँ पर हासिल करी. आपके ऊपर चूंकि एक तरह से आरोप हुआ, आपको अभद्र शब्दों में आपके खिलाफ जो है आलोचना करी गई, क्या ये उस वजह से मराठा आरक्षण का जो एक आंदोलन था वो फेल हुआ और जो मैंडेट था वो कहीं न कहीं आप लोगों के फेवर में?
देखिए, मैंने इससे पहले भी कहा था कि लोकसभा के चुनाव में हमको 43.6% मिले थे, उनको 43.9% मिले थे. तो अगर मराठा समाज ने हमको वोट नहीं दिया होता तो क्या हम 43.6% पर पहुंचते? मराठा समाज हमारे साथ था, है और रहेगा. ओबीसी समाज हमारे साथ था, है और रहेगा. सारे समाज. आज आप जब इसको डिसाइफर करेंगे, जब आप इसका विश्लेषण करेंगे तो आपके ध्यान में आएगा कि सब समाज हमारे साथ में. देखिए, हर समाज की अपनी इच्छाएं होती है, आकांक्षाएं होती है, लेकिन उनको ये भी पता होता है कि अपनी आकांक्षाएं पूर्ण करने के लिए प्रामाणिकता से काम कौन कर सकता है. तो लोगों का विश्वास हम पर.
2019ला मराठवाड्यातील वर्षावर एक प्रेस झाली होती आणि त्यानंतर शरद पवारांनी ते
Welcome back, viewers. We are joined by Neerja Chaudhary, a veteran journalist who has covered 11 Lok Sabha elections and the contributing editor of the Indian Express. Neerja ma'am, welcome to the show. Trends are all in. The numbers are all in. It's a landslide victory for the BJP and the Mahayuti alliance as a whole in Maharashtra. And it's a win for the JMM and Congress alliance in Jharkhand. What do you think that the Congress is doing off the chart that, Haryana did not work out for them, even though Jharkhand is sort of a consolation prize for them? But again, now they have lost Maharashtra when it was such a huge opportunity. It was a humongous opportunity when they could have, sort of taken revenge. They could have avenged themselves for Haryana. Does Congress need to go back to the drawing board and stay there for some time?
You mean stay there for some time, long enough? Yes, they didn't get the narrative right. It was also a very localized campaign in Maharashtra. There were no state leaders campaigning all through the state. Rahul Gandhi had 7-8 rallies. So it wasn't the kind of buzz that they created. In Rahul Gandhi's rally, he talked about the constitution again being under threat. When I traveled, constitution was not an issue as it was in the Lok Sabha when the Dalits felt it would lead to a change in the constitution and therefore end the reservations for them. So it was an issue very close to the bone as far as they were concerned. This time that was not the case. So there, of course, sympathy for Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray because their parties had been broken and they themselves had felt betrayed. That worked in the Lok Sabha elections. But sympathy does not manifest itself again and again politically.
Absolutely.
So I think and the BJP and the Mahayuti did course correction very quickly after the Lok Sabha results when the MVA had got 30 out of 48 Lok Sabha seats and the BJP was reduced to 17. And what they did was this social welfareism. They opened the purse string, the Ladki Behna Yojana, of course, which has affected 2.4 crore women, 47,000 crore of outlay. And what was extraordinary was that 5 months payment, 1,500 rupees per month, actually had reached women's hands in their banks. So 7,500 to get in your hand. And with promise of this continuing and increase to 2,100. And I must tell you this, there's not one woman I met, and this is random, as I went to Marathwada, Bombay, it was in political rallies or in the villages or generally, who had not received money, not one.
Really?
And they had put it to good use already to augment their income. So I think one of the big game changers was this, particularly shown by the fact that 5 to 6% additional women came out to vote. But they gave the credit to this Chief Minister, Eknath Shinde, not to Mahayuti. That was also a very interesting thing. But coming to the Congress, what you are saying, and the MVA, Congress, it was felt even in Jharkhand where the party has become the alliance is victorious and they're going to form the government, or also in Jammu and Kashmir where the NC as an allies formed the government. Their allies felt they did not put their best foot forward. Now there is an organizational weakness of the Congress which they have to address, and the kind of will to power, for instance, that Hemant Soren has shown. And he's kept the tribals on his side despite allegations of corruption, being in jail, of course, which generated sympathy amongst the tribals. Congress did not show that kind of will to power and the killer instinct and working hard. So also like Eknath Shinde, who started off like Modi from humble beginnings and has shown, he's clawed his way up and he's used every trick in the book to retain power. Now, whether he becomes chief minister or he is not, because things are, arithmetic is stacked.
Yeah.
The BJP does not have to depend on them. It may take them along because it's an alliance, but does not have to depend on them, because even if Eknath Shinde, a miffed Eknath Shinde and a miffed Ajit Pawar were to move to the other side don't have the numbers. Their numbers today are less than Maha Vikas Aghadi's numbers, are less than even Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena's number.
Absolutely.
So even if you tot up all these, they won't be able to form a government. In all probability, you will see people from the Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar, NCP, moving towards this side, the ruling side, because they are in power. They have something to offer. So I think, therefore, the options for Eknath Shinde or Ajit Pawar to do something if they don't get CM shape or whatever they want are very few today. So it's a what, corporate India, finance India, they are very happy because they wanted political stability and they think they will get it, and without this mishmash of so many parties and what they called extortions and so on and reveries, and now it will be very difficult to undo the Ladki Behna Yojana. That, I believe, is going to be the blueprint for winning elections in the future.
You mean the female voters?
Female voters, because women have emerged as a very powerful constituency and a vote bank which no party would like to ignore. And one of the models that has succeeded in Madhya Pradesh and other states also is to give money in their hands, as also in Maharashtra. And that giving money in the hands, towards the end, say last 6 months or 8 months, does it wipe out everything you do in the previous 4 years? So this election has thrown up very, very interesting things for the future.
Absolutely. But circling back to Congress, like I asked you, do they need to stay at the drawing board for some time? What happens to the Maha Vikas Aghadi alliance now? Because you have one Congress that needs to brainstorm, but it's an existential crisis for the rest of the two. Sharad Pawar at 84, NCP-SP, and obviously there was loyalty for him, and that sort of worked in his favor during the Lok Sabha elections. And apart from him, you have Uddhav Thackeray. During Lok Sabha polls, the sympathy factor for him worked. But now, what happens to them?
I think they will have to bide their time. As for the NCP, yes, you're right. It's probably what he said. Sharad Pawar said, I will now retire. It's the last election. They thought the succession battle within the NCP was over. But now it seems to have swung to that side. Yeah. With Ajit Pawar taking away the NCP. So what happens to this group? Will that break once more? Will Sharad Pawar merge his party into the Congress party?
Is that a possibility?
Well, he said this to me during the Lok Sabha campaign, that regional parties and his party included, and he said he'll have to talk to his colleagues, may want to merge their identity in the Congress, in the opposition space. So would he want to do that? Just a rump doesn't make sense. Uddhav Thackeray, what will he do? I think he could just bide his time and wait for this Sena people on this side to get disgruntled and look to him again as a pole in politics. But he'll have to wait for that to happen. So yes, it is a very difficult, challenging time for these two, but I never write off anybody in Indian politics.
And why is that?
Because you had a Narasimha Rao, who in 1991 had packed up his bags to go, denied even a Lok Sabha ticket. His books had already gone home to Hyderabad, and within days he was the Prime Minister of India.
So you
because
never
Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, the party zeroed in on Narasimha Rao as the choice for Prime Ministership. Never write off anybody in Indian politics.
Absolutely. From Maharashtra, we'll go to Jharkhand, but in a bit, we'll take a detour to Wayanad, where Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has made her poll debut, and she's leading by a massive 3.65 lakh votes. So there is going to be a third Gandhi in the parliament this time?
That's right. And that also will bring about a change, because you will have the brother and sister moving together as a duo. So as the ruling group will have to contend with this, and this could give new heart to the entire opposition. Now they had hoped that she will get, she will overtake her brother's majority, which is 4.5 lakhs in 2019.
Correct.
And 3.5 lakhs this time. So she has overtaken the 2024 figure. From what you said, she's leading in, of course we'll know the final figures.
Yeah.
But certainly Priyanka Gandhi Vadra's presence in parliament is going to alter things and will give new momentum to the Congress and in Parliament, and let's see how it works. Now, I keep saying, suppose she outshines the performance of her brother.
Okay.
What happens then? How do they handle that? Does she become the main pole of politics inside the Congress? But those are things for the future. And for the moment, she has decided that she will work under the leadership of her brother and play a secondary supportive role. So let's see. It's an interesting. It is the most important by-poll that has taken place out of the 48 by-elections that were just held with these two states.
Absolutely. Moving on to Jharkhand. Consolation prize, but Congress is not completely out and done, even though in terms of an alliance, they have still managed to be in par in Jharkhand.
Yes, and I think strike rate of the Congress is not bad in Jharkhand. It's almost 50%.
Yeah.
It's like Eknath Shinde's strike rate in the Lok Sabha election.
Yeah.
50%.
Yeah.
It's not down to 5-6. Even the RJD has done well. Out of 6, they're leading in 5.
Correct.
And of course, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha. So what it shows you is that Hemant Soren's hold amongst the tribals remains undiminished. The BJP tried to dent that. They even brought this illegal immigrant issues to fuel the fears of the tribals that there may be a demographic change in the tribal areas.
Correct.
And I think that obviously has not worked. And this will be of concern to the BJP that they are not able to make the inroads they wanted to amongst the tribals. And also concern to the RSS, because the RSS has worked very hard amongst the tribals. So the BJP has had its strength amongst the non-tribals, and it needed to make forays into the tribal. And Hemant Soren needed to make forays into the non-tribals. He has his strength in the tribal areas. So also I'm told there has been a reaction amongst the local people to the leadership of the BJP from outside, which was calling the shots.
Could you explain that a little more?
Like Hemant Biswa Sarma was there. It wasn't. They were not projecting the local BJP leadership as much as could have been done.
Rather, his comments stirred up a controversy.
And so I was told in the last days there was reaction to this also. So it became the Jharkhandis versus the outsiders. It reminded me of 2015 elections in Bihar, where Lalu Prasad Yadav and Nitish Kumar got together and they won. They won because their constituencies came together. They won because the RSS attacked reservations, but they also won because all the posters and banners had Narendra Modi and Amit Shah's photos and not any local BJP's leader's photo. And I remember going there at that time, and some people, under the surface, the murmurings of unhappiness with that.
Right.
So whether that thing has also worked, been at play in Jharkhand is a question mark.
Absolutely. We were talking about the Gandhi family in Parliament, and one of your articles categorically states that virtually every district in Maharashtra is sort of dominated by either one or two parties, political families. Give us an overview of this context of Parivarvad in tandem with Congress, and where are we headed? At what cost?
Look, this hit me, and it hit a lot of people in Maharashtra this time. The political families, and there'll be at least 3 dozen, 36 definitely, like
36,
districts
yeah.
in Maharashtra. Maybe one district has even more, Sholapur for instance. And these political families have become very powerful. Why? Because of cooperatives, milk cooperatives, sugar cooperative banks, their involvement in it, and they have emerged in the absence of the government delivering and the political parties being responsive to the grievances of ordinary people. You know, you can't go into a political party office and say, this is my grievance, I want this done, I'm in trouble. Unless you know ABCD specifically, nobody is going to listen to you.
Right.
So these families have in some ways played the role of a middleman to extract from the system benefits for ordinary people. They've acted as the bridge, and sometimes given them benefits almost equal to what the government gives them in terms of financial things and other things. So the role of these families is valued by people. It's not that there is a revolt against them. But what the question I raised, and which hits you, if the Maharashtra model, and the political families phenomenon is prevalent in all states of India today.
Right.
If this continues, will our parliamentary democracy be limited to 500 families? And that day may not be far. When India became independent, there were just over 565 princely families that were integrated into a sovereign, independent India. Today, are we looking at a scenario of 500 political families dominating parliamentary democracy in India?
Absolutely. Why do you think that Maharashtra is increasingly moving towards a fractured polity?
Look, you know, that is a very interesting thing, and that it has moved over a period of, you know, if you start from 1960, there was bipolarity. Then Sharad Pawar was the first person who broke away in 1978 from the Congress, formed a youngest chief minister, formed a government with Janata Party and some other people. Then again, the government didn't last for too long, the Congress was back, and the rise of the Shiv Sena in the 90s, and with the BJP they formed the government. Then it became a coalitional bipolarity, as we saw, Shiv Sena and BJP on the one hand. Sharad Pawar broke away again from the Congress on the foreign origins of Sonia Gandhi, and they got together again. So this bipolarity, which now in the last 5 years became even more fractured because the Sena broke and the NCP broke. So, and not only that, there were smaller parties that they were allied to.
Yeah.
The Mahayuti was allied to 4 smaller parties, the MVA was allied to 2 smaller parties, and then you had parties like MNS and BSP and AIMIM and this Vanchit Aghadi of Prakash Ambedkar. They were all in the fray, and then scores of independents. So when you looked at the scenario, you felt your head spin around.
There were 50 rebels who became independents, including Mahayuti and Maha Vikas Aghadi.
That's right, absolutely.
50 of them.
That's right. Not many have won.
Not many have won.
Yes, or are in the lead. Yeah. So so from the point of view of those who value political stability, this verdict with the BJP coming as one party, not really needing Eknath Shinde or Ajit Pawar, because 125 is where they are leading, but they have still 15 to 17 in other parties. They parked in Shinde's party. So we don't know how many of those have won.
Correct.
And then of course there are the independents. They will normally gravitate to those who are going to form the government. And then will people come from Sharad Pawar's party or Uddhav Thackeray's party? So the BJP may be home and dry even without Eknath Shinde or Ajit Pawar. They will take them along, but they are not dependent on them, which means the push and the pull of coalition government may not.
They are immune to it now, sort of.
No, it may not be such a factor in this government. As was the case in the last government.
In the last government, absolutely. What happens to the India Bloc alliance?
Now that is a $1 million question. As you say, they go back to the drawing board and stay there long enough. I hope they don't lose heart and become demoralized. As happened, in the first term of Narendra Modi, second term of Narendra Modi, and then because the BJP did not get a majority on its own in 2024 Lok Sabha election, they got new heart and new momentum.
New momentum.
So I think whether they'll need to really think how they move in the future. But the results of Maharashtra have given one clear message. The ability of the Mahayuti and particularly the BJP to course correct quickly after the defeat or the setback in the Lok Sabha election shows that they may run their whole term at the national level.
Absolutely. But at the same time, coalitions are made because you want to join forces. And BJP has always been this war machine when it comes to, elections. They have their bucket list ready, they take everything off it, and, their campaign strategies, their social media strategies are all curated like that. And obviously, it makes BJP a very lucrative partner to join alliances with. But now, given Congress's performance, be it in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, be it in Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, Lok Sabha to some extent. Do you think that now regional parties or other parties are going to think twice before joining forces with Congress? Because the thrust is missing somewhere.
Yeah, but without them they're weaker. Even if the Congress doesn't bring a huge amount on the table, it does bring, for instance, Samajwadi Party's alliance with the Congress and, consolidated the Muslims and Dalits behind that alliance, this time in Uttar Pradesh. And that is what led to the BJP slumping from 62 Lok Sabha seats to 33. And that is why they did not have a majority. So Congress doesn't have any organizational base in Uttar Pradesh, but it has a certain appeal among certain sections of society.
Right.
And that is what it brought to the table.
Absolutely. But in an overall manner, what do you think sort of worked for the Congress? Because the JMM did the heavy lifting.
Of course.
Let's not be
Or the NC did it in Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah. So, obviously, the JMM did most of the heavy lifting. I'm not saying that there were no efforts on Congress's part. But then, what to take away from the so-called Jharkhand win for Congress?
I think the Congress has to, as I said, get its narrative right. I mean, to keep talking about the Constitution. All right, the Constitution is very valuable and we must adhere to it, but does it have traction amongst ordinary people at that particular juncture? If not, what should have been the narrative? And secondly, the Congress is become so much of a drawing room party that it needs to work hard and, go back to the people as used to be the case once upon a time, but has not been the case of late. Not like its opponents. The BJP is a 24/7 machinery, and you have to contend with that.
Right.
It's not the politics of yesteryears. It's a very new challenge you're facing, and then again and again and again you're facing this challenge.
Definitely. So that was veteran journalist Neerja Chaudhary and contributing editor of the Indian Express on her views on what's the road ahead for Congress. Right now, let's move on to a press conference by Deputy CM of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, and here's what he has to say.
Thank you, sir. आजच्या निकालाने हे स्पष्ट केलंय की संपूर्ण महाराष्ट्र हा नरेंद्र मोदीजींच्या पाठीशी आहे आणि मोदीजींनी जो नारा दिला होता, एक है तो सेफ है, महाराष्ट्रातल्या सर्व समाजातल्या लोकांनी एकत्रित येऊन हा नारा यशस्वी केलेला आहे. सगळ्यांनी एकत्रित मतदान केलेलं आहे आणि विशेष आभार आमच्या लाडक्या बहिणींचे देखील आहेत की ज्यांनी आम्हाला खूप आशीर्वाद दिलेला आहे. यासोबत खऱ्या अर्थानं जो फेक नरेटिव्ह तयार करण्यात आला होता त्या फेक नरेटिव्हच्या विरोधात लढणाऱ्या ज्या वेगवेगळ्या संघटना आहेत राष्ट्रीय विचारांच्या त्या संघटनांचा विजय आहे आणि विशेषतः जे मतांचं ध्रुवीकरण करण्याचा प्रयत्न या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये महाविकास आघाडीने केला होता त्याच्या विरोधात लोकांमध्ये जनजागृती करणारे आमचे विविध पंथांचे जे संत आहेत त्यांचा देखील हा विजय आहे की ज्यांनी महाराष्ट्राला एक ठेवलाय. अशा सगळ्यांचा हा खऱ्या अर्थानं विजय आहे. गावामध्ये, पाड्यामध्ये, तांड्यामध्ये, वाडीमध्ये, वस्त्यांमध्ये सगळीकडे जाऊन ज्यांनी हा अलख जगवला त्यांचा विजय आहे. आणि खऱ्या अर्थानं महाराष्ट्रातले आमचे महायुतीचे जे लाखो कार्यकर्ते आहेत या कार्यकर्त्यांचा विजय आहे. माननीय मुख्यमंत्री एकनाथराव शिंदेजी, मी, अजितदादा, आमचे रामदास आठवलेजी, आमचे सगळे मित्रपक्ष, आमच्या एकजुटीचा हा विजय आहे. त्याच्यामुळे मला असं वाटतं की प्रचंड मोठा अशा प्रकारचा विजय आज मिळालेला आहे. या निमित्ताने मी निश्चितपणे आमच्या देशाचे गृहमंत्री अमितभाई शहा यांचे देखील मनापासून आभार मानतो की ज्यांनी या ठिकाणी महाराष्ट्रामध्ये येऊन आमच्या कार्यकर्त्यांमध्ये ऊर्जा भरली. आमचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष नड्डाजी असतील, आमचे राजनाथ सिंगजी असतील, नितीन गडकरीजी असतील, सगळ्या राष्ट्रीय नेतृत्वाने आम्हाला या ठिकाणी अतिशय चांगल्या प्रकारे मार्गदर्शन केलं. आमचे प्रभारी असतील या ठिकाणी आमच्या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये पियुषजी असतील, भूपेंद्रजी असतील, आमचे सगळे जेवढे या ठिकाणी आम्हाला मार्गदर्शन करत होते त्या सगळ्यांनी मला असं वाटतं की या विजयामध्ये हातभार लावलेला आहे. आणि निश्चितच महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेपुढे आम्ही नतमस्तक आहोत. याच्यापेक्षा जास्त आज या ठिकाणी काही बोलताच येत नाही. अक्षरशः साष्टांग दंडवत महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेला, ज्या महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेने हे प्रेम दिलेलं आहे. आणि मला असं वाटतं की जो काही एक विषारी प्रचार सातत्याने झाला त्या प्रचाराला महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेने आपल्या कृतीतून उत्तर दिलेलं आहे. आणि म्हणून अशा जनतेचा मी आभार मानतो, ज्यांनी ही एकी दाखवली आहे त्यांचा मी आभार मानतो. आणि मी सांगितलं होतं की आम्ही आधुनिक अभिमन्यू आहोत, आम्ही चक्रव्यूह तोडून दाखवू. तो चक्रव्यूह तुटलेला आहे आणि महाराष्ट्र मोदीजींच्या पाठीशी खंबीरपणे उभा आहे. आज महाराष्ट्र की जनता ने जो अप्रत्याशित इस प्रकार की जीत हमको दी है, इससे ये बात पूरी तरीके से स्थापित होती है कि महाराष्ट्र ये प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के पीछे है. और मोदी जी ने जो नारा दिया था, एक है तो सेफ है, इस नारे को यथार्थ में लाते हुए महाराष्ट्र के सभी समाज के सभी लोगों ने एकता दिखाते हुए महाराष्ट्र में मतदान किया है. और इसके कारण ये इतनी अच्छी जीत हमको मिली है. मैं विशेष रूप से हमारी लाडली बहनों का, लाडले भाइयों का, लाडले किसानों का, सभी का बहुत आभार व्यक्त करना चाहता हूं. लाडली बहनों ने तो बहुत आशीर्वाद हमको दिया है, जिसके कारण हम लोग निश्चित रूप से एक अच्छा विजय यहां पर संपन्न कर पाए. इसके साथ साथ लोकसभा में जिस फेक नैरेटिव को तैयार किया गया था और यहां पर जिन ताकतों ने अराजकता के माध्यम से फेक नैरेटिव तो राष्ट्रवादी विचारों की जितनी हमारी ताकतें थी वो सारी ताकतों ने मैदान में उतरकर उस फेक नैरेटिव को समाप्त कर दिया. इसलिए उन सभी संगठनों का भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं जिन्होंने ये करके दिखाया. साथ साथ महाराष्ट्र में जो पोलराइजेशन का प्रयास किया गया था और किसी जाति विशेष, धर्म विशेष को, एक धर्म विशेष को पोलराइज करने का जो प्रयास किया गया था, मुझे लगता है वो प्रयास सफल नहीं हुआ. क्योंकि महाराष्ट्र में एक बहुत बड़ी परंपरा है, संतों की परंपरा है. इस परंपरा का निर्वाह करने वाले अलग अलग पंथों के जो हमारे सारे साधु संत हैं, उनका भी आशीर्वाद हमको मिला, जिन्होंने बिल्कुल गांव गांव तक जाकर अलख जगाया और एक रहने का संदेश दिया, जिसके कारण मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि एक बहुत अच्छा विजय हमको मिला है। विशेष रूप से हमारे मुख्यमंत्री एकनाथ शिंदे जी, उप मुख्यमंत्री अजितदादा पवार जी, रामदास अठौले जी और हमारे साथ की जितनी छोटी पार्टियां हैं, हम सब लोग एक साथ रहे, एक साथ मिलकर हमने ये काम किया। इसलिए मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इस एकता का ये विजय है, जो हमारी महायुति थी, अभेद्य इस प्रकार की महायुति थी, महायुति का ये विजय है, ऐसा मैं मानता हूं। और साथ साथ मैं हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी का तो आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, उनके कारण ही हमको ये जीत मिली है। लेकिन हमारे देश के गृह मंत्री श्री अमित शाह जी, जिन्होंने महाराष्ट्र में आकर कार्यकर्ताओं में एक ऊर्जा का संचार किया, मैं उनका भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे राष्ट्रीय नेतृत्व हमारे नड्डा जी है, हमारे राजनाथ जी है, हमारे नितिन गडकरी जी है, इनका भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे जो चुनाव के प्रभारी है, हमारे जो महाराष्ट्र से मंत्री है, इन सभी का मैं बहुत दिल से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि पूरी पार्टी ताकत से हमारे साथ खड़ी हुई। और सबसे महत्व की बात है, हमारे नेताओं ने, हमारी पार्टी ने केवल बीजेपी की सीटों पर काम नहीं किया, हमारी पार्टी ने सारे के सारे महाराष्ट्र के जितने 288 सीटें थी, हमारे दोस्तों की सीटों पर भी काम किया। और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इसके कारण एक बहुत अच्छा यहां कार्य संपन्न हुआ। हमारे भूपेंद्र यादव जी, अश्विनी वैष्णव जी, हमारे शिवप्रकाश जी, इनका भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे यहां पर जो हमारे सारे अलग अलग प्रांतों से भी जिन लोगों ने हमको मदद की, उनका भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे पीयूष जी का मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, हमारे शिवराज सिंह चौहान जी का भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक प्रकार से सामूहिक रूप से हम लोग जब उतरे, तो ये सामूहिक ताकत एक ऐसी ताकत बनी जिसने दिखा दिया कि महाराष्ट्र ये मोदी जी के ही साथ है।
अभिमन्यू वाली लाइन आणि सर आपने अभिमन्यू की तरफ चक्रव्यूह आपने भेज दिया सर।
ऐसा है, मैंने पहले ही कहा था कि मैं आधुनिक अभिमन्यु हूं, चक्रव्यूह को भेदना जानता हूं। हमने चक्रव्यूह को भेदा है और ये कोई मैं पहले भी कह रहा हूं, वापिस कह रहा हूं, इस विजय में मेरा बहुत छोटा उसमें मैं समझता हूं कि सहभाग है। एक ये हमारी जो पूरी टीम है, इस टीम ने इस विजय को लाया है। मला असं वाटतं की कुठल्याही लोकशाहीमध्ये एक चांगला विरोधी पक्ष असणं हे गरजेचं आहे। त्यामुळे जे काही विरोधी पक्षाचे लोक निवडून आलेले आहेत त्यांचा आम्ही सन्मान करू। त्यांचा आवाज छोटा असो की मोठा असो, ते ज्या योग्य गोष्टी सांगतील त्या योग्य गोष्टींवर आम्ही त्यांना प्रतिसाद देऊ। मराठी हो जाणं
ईव्हीएम कापर फोडताय, हिंमत असेल तर बॅलेट पेपरवर निवडणुका घ्या आता असं विरोधक म्हणतायत।
आम्हाला ते माहितीच होतं, जर झारखंडमध्ये झारखंड मुक्ती मोर्चा जिंकला तर तिथलं ईव्हीएम टॅम्पर प्रूफ, परफेक्ट, एकदम जनमताचा कौल, लोकशाहीचा विजय। आणि महाराष्ट्रामध्ये हे धाराशाही झाल्याबरोबर लोकशाही खतऱ्यात आलेली आहे, ईव्हीएम प्रॉब्लेममध्ये आहे, ईव्हीएम टॅम्पर झालेला आहे। मला असं वाटतं की कुठेतरी अशा परिस्थितीमध्ये आत्मचिंतन केलं पाहिजे आणि खरी कारणं काय, मला काही त्यांना सल्ला द्यायचा नाही आहे, मी तेवढा मोठाही नाही आहे, पण कधीतरी त्यांना खरी कारणं काय आहेत याचा विचार करावा।
मुख्यमंत्री पदाची स्वप्न पाहिली असे राष्ट्रवादी आणि काँग्रेसमधल्या बड्या नेत्यांचे या विधानसभा निवडणुकीमध्ये पराभव झालेला आहे।
असं लोकशाहीची हीच खरी मला असं वाटतं गंमत आहे की लोकशाहीमध्ये कोणाला जनता डोक्यावर घेईल आणि कोणाला जनता धाराशाही करेल हे सांगता येत नाही। या निवडणुकीने पुन्हा एकदा ते दाखवून देईल।
मोठ्या प्रमाणामध्ये यश मिळालेलं आहे। मागच्या वेळेस दातृत्व दाखवत भाजपाने एकनाथ शिंदेना सीएम पद दिलं, आता सगळ्या तुमच्या लोकांच्या अनेक राजकीय नेत्यांचे बाईट्स येत आहेत किंवा प्रतिक्रिया येतात की भाजपाला आता यश मिळालं तर भाजपाने मुख्यमंत्रीपद घ्यायला हवं।
या बाबतीत माननीय अमितभाई शहांनी प्रेस कॉन्फरन्समध्ये क्लिअरली सांगितलेलं आहे, मुख्यमंत्रीपद हे कुठल्या निकषावर नाही, मुख्यमंत्रीपद तीनही पक्षाचे नेते एकत्रित बसून ठरवतील। एकनाथराव शिंदेजी त्यांच्या पक्षाचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत, अजितदादा त्यांच्या पक्षाचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत आणि आमचे जे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष आहेत त्यांना आमचं पार्लमेंटरी बोर्ड हे ऑथराईज करतं। ते बसून जो निर्णय घेतील तो निर्णय असेल, कुठलाही वाद नाही आहे, कुठलाही विवाद नाही।
सीएम पद क्या बीजेपी के खाते में?
सीएम पद के ऊपर कोई भी विवाद यहाँ नहीं होने वाला, क्योंकि पहले दिन से ये तय है कि चुनाव जब संपन्न होगा तो चुनाव के बाद तीनों पार्टियां मिलकर इसको तय करेगी। हमारे नेता आदरणीय होम मिनिस्टर साहब ने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में ये बहुत स्पष्ट शब्दों में बताया है कि चुनाव के बाद तीनों पार्टियां बैठेगी और इसका निर्णय करेगी। अभी मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि हमारे एकनाथ शिंदे जी उनके पार्टी के अध्यक्ष है, अजित पवार जी उनके पार्टी के अध्यक्ष है और साथ में हमारे पार्टी के जो राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष है उनको हमारा पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड ऑथराइज करता है। तो ये लोग बैठकर एक उचित निर्णय करेंगे, हमारे वरिष्ठ नेताओं से बातचीत करेंगे, हमारे पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड से बातचीत करेंगे, जो निर्णय होगा वो सबको मान्य होगा, इसमें कोई विवाद नहीं। बाबा आता पूर्ण रिझल्ट संपू द्या। आता मी आणि अजितदादा आता सीएम साहेबांकडे चाललो आहे, आम्ही बसून जरा पुढचा काय कार्यक्रम करायचा तो चॉकआउट करू आणि तुम्हाला नीट सांगू। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक प्रकार से लोगों ने अपना मैंडेट दे दिया, लोगों ने एकनाथ शिंदे जी को रियल शिवसेना के रूप में स्वीकार कर लिया है। बाला साहेब ठाकरे की हिंदू हृदय सम्राट शिवसेना प्रमुख बाला साहेब ठाकरे की जो शिवसेना है उसकी लेजिटिमसी ये एकनाथ शिंदे जी को मिली है और जो मूल एनसीपी है उसकी लेजिटिमसी अजित पवार जी को मिली है।
या निवडणुकीमध्ये कास्ट पोलरायझेशन करण्याचा प्रयत्न महाविकास आघाडीकडनं आवर्जून केला गेला, विशेषतः मराठवाड्यामध्ये आणि विदर्भामध्ये पण वेगवेगळ्या ठिकाणी अशा स्वरूपाचा प्रचार केला गेला। तरी देखील विदर्भ आणि मराठवाडा याच्यामध्ये प्रचंड भाजपला यश मिळताना दिसतंय, याचं प्रमुख ऍनालिसिस काय?
मला असं वाटतं की जेव्हा वारंवार तुम्ही एका व्यक्तीला एका पक्षाला टार्गेट करता त्यावेळी तुम्ही जे टार्गेट करता त्यातली हवा पण निघून जाते आणि त्याची तीव्रताही कमी होते आणि लोकांना त्याचं सत्य समजतं। लोकांच्या मनात त्यानंतर एक प्रकारची सहानुभूती तयार होते, लोकांना लक्षात येतं की चुकीच्या पद्धतीनं टार्गेट केलं जातं। तसंच आम्हाला महाविकास आघाडीने ठरवून या ठिकाणी टार्गेट केलं, पण मला असं वाटतं की हळूहळू लोकांनी लक्षात आलं, कारण आमचा ट्रॅक रेकॉर्ड चांगला आहे, आम्ही नेहमी पॉझिटिव्ह काम केलेलं आहे, त्यामुळे आमचा ट्रॅक रेकॉर्ड पाहून लोकांनी या ठिकाणी मतदान केलं। मला असं वाटतं की या निकालाने एक गोष्ट स्पष्ट केली आहे, हिंदू हृदय सम्राट शिवसेना प्रमुख बाळासाहेब ठाकरे यांची शिवसेना ही एकनाथराव शिंदेजींची शिवसेना आहे, किंवा एकनाथराव शिंदेजी ज्या शिवसेनेचे प्रमुख आहेत तीच शिवसेना ही आता या ठिकाणी हिंदू हृदय सम्राट शिवसेना प्रमुख बाळासाहेब ठाकरेंची आहे। त्याची लेजिटिमसी जी आहे ती आता एकनाथराव शिंदेजींकडे आलेली आहे आणि तशीच राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेसची लेजिटिमसी जनतेनं अजितदादा पवारांना दिलेली आहे। समाज की अपनी इच्छा
विकत घेताय का, काही लाच देताय का, या सगळ्या गोष्टीला आम्ही सामोरे गेलो। कोर्टामध्ये काही लोक गेले ही योजना बंद करण्यासाठी आणि म्हणून लाडकी बहीण योजना जी आहे त्याचबरोबर शासन आपल्या दारी, आम्ही याच्यापूर्वी शासन आपल्या दारी आम्ही केलं डायरेक्ट, तेव्हाही योजना होत्या, पूर्वी लाभही होते, सगळं होतं, परंतु लोक कंटाळून ते योजनांचा लाभ घेण्यापासून वंचित राहत होते। आम्ही 5 कोटी लोकांना त्याचा लाभ दिला, शासन आपल्या दारी। आणि आपल्या लाडकी बहीण योजना यामुळे एकंदरीत लोकांनी विश्वास ठेवला की हे देणारं सरकार आहे, हे फक्त बोलणारं सरकार नाही आहे, आणि म्हणून देणारं सरकार आहे याच्यावर विश्वास ठेवला आणि कल्याणकारी योजना ज्या केल्या आम्ही फक्त बोललो नाही तर 5 इन्स्टॉलमेंट लाडक्या बहिणींच्या खात्यात टाकले सुद्धा। आणि आम्ही तर आम्हाला माहीत होतं हे विरोधक सावत्र भाऊ आमच्या या नोव्हेंबरच्या पैशामध्ये अडकाटे आणतील, म्हणून आम्ही ऑक्टोबरमध्येच आचारसंहिता लागायच्या अगोदर नोव्हेंबरचे पण पैसे दिले, कारण शेवटी आम्ही देण्याची नियत आमची आहे, नियत साफ आहे, कारण आम्ही फक्त कागदावर योजना ठेवायच्यासाठी केलं नाही, आणि त्यामुळे एकंदरीत या राज्यामध्ये सर्वसामान्यांचं सरकार सर्वसामान्यांसाठी काहीतरी करतंय ही भावना प्रत्येकाच्या मनामध्ये निर्माण झाली. आणि आम्ही म्हणालो कॉमन मॅन कॉमन मॅन कॉमन मॅन. आता कॉमन मॅनने आम्ही ठरवलं की त्यांच्या जीवनामध्ये काही बदल घडवून चांगले दिवस आणून त्याला सुपरमॅन करायचं. पण त्यांनी आम्हाला या निवडणुकीत सुपरमॅनसारखं काम करून दाखवलं आणि एवढं भरभरून त्यांनी आशीर्वाद दिले की लोकांनी एवढंच आहे की यामध्ये बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी स्पष्ट झाल्या. लोकांनी कल्याणाचं आणि विकासाचं राजकारण स्वीकारलं. लोकांनी सुडाचं आरोपाचं द्वेषाचं राजकारण झिडकारलं. आणि म्हणून 2 निवडणुका ज्या लोकसभेमध्ये पण आणि लोकसभेत फेक नॅरेटिव्ह वगैरे सगळं केलं, काय काय केलं, संविधान बदलणार वगैरे सगळ्या जातीमध्ये भीती निर्माण केली, प्रत्येकाला घाबरवलं, तरी सुद्धा एवढं होऊन पण प्रधानमंत्रीपदी मोदी साहेबच बसले. आता ते म्हणाले जनतेच्या दरबारात जाऊ, आम्ही जनतेच्या दरबारात जाऊ. लोकसभेच्या वेळेस पण गेले, पण शेवटी एवढं करून एवढे सगळं खोटं नाटं सांगून लोकांना घाबरवून पण प्रधानमंत्रीपदी शेवटी मोदी साहेब बसले. आणि आताही म्हणाले आम्ही जनतेच्या दरबारात जाऊ. आता जनतेने त्यांना जो काय मॅन्डेट द्यायचा तो दिलेला आहे आणि त्यामुळे जनतेने पूर्णपणे विकासाला आणि कल्याणकारी योजनांना स्वीकारलेला आहे. यामध्ये लोक रोज आमचं सरकार स्थापन झाल्यापासून रोज सरकार पडणार सरकार पडणार सरकार पडणार रोज आम्हाला 3-4च शब्द ठेवले होते त्यांनी. ते शब्द तुम्हाला माहित आहे, मी ते परत त्याचा उच्चार करू इच्छित नाही. पण 4था शब्द होता का? नाही. पण आम्ही त्याला आरोपाने उत्तर नाही दिलं. आम्ही कामातून उत्तर दिलं त्याला आणि कामातून उत्तर दिलं आणि ते काम लोकांना भावलं की बाबा हे काम करणारे लोक आहेत आणि काम सर्वसामान्य लोक आहेत. मी स्वतःला काय समजायचो, सीएम म्हणजे चीफ मिनिस्टर, मी म्हणायचो कॉमन मॅन आहे. आता कॉमन मॅनमध्ये मी जायचो. आता आमचे दोन्ही उपमुख्यमंत्री दोन्ही आम्ही 24/7 काम करत होतो. आणि याच्यामुळे घरी बसून सरकार चालवता येत नाही, फेसबुकवरून सरकार चालवता येत नाही, हे स्पष्ट झालेलं आहे. आणि म्हणून आम्ही लोकांच्या, बाळासाहेब सांगायचे, कार्यकर्ता घरात नाही लोकांच्या दारात शोभून दिसतो. शासन आपल्या दारी आम्ही घेऊन गेलो, शासन आपल्या दारी घेऊन गेलो. आणि म्हणूनच आज बाळासाहेबांच्या विचारांनी आम्ही सरकार स्थापन केलं 2019ला मोदी साहेबांच्या आशीर्वादाने. आणि 2019ला जे सरकार स्थापन व्हायला पाहिजे होतं ते सरकार स्थापन झालं नाही, ते लोकांनी बरोबर लक्षात ठेवलेलं आहे. लोक ते विसरलेले नाहीत. आणि म्हणून या निवडणुकीत देखील कोण कुठल्या पक्षाचा, आता तुमचा कुठला पक्ष आहे? तुमचा राष्ट्रवादी. आता तो कोणाचा आहे ते लोकांनी ठरवलं. आणि
शिवसेना कोणाची तेही ठरवलं.
आणि लोकांनी ठरवलं. त्यामुळे आता बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी त्या स्पष्ट झालेल्या आहेत, बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी स्पष्ट झाल्या. आणि मला समाधान आहे की 2019ला 56 जागा आल्या होत्या आणि त्या 56 मला वाटतं आताही 56 जागा आल्या, अजून चालू आहे. पण एकंदरीत आताच्या पर्यंत म्हणजे विकासाला लोकांनी महत्त्व दिलं. मोदीजींनी आता अमित भाई असतील, नड्डाजी आहेत, तिथं पियुषजी आहेत, केंद्रीय मंत्री आपले भूपेंद्रजी आहेत, राजनाथ सिंगजी, बऱ्याच सगळ्या लोकांनी, आठवले साहेब तर आपल्या सोबतच आहेत, आठवले साहेब सोबत 100%. तर एकंदरीत आपण सगळ्यांनी या निवडणुकीमध्ये एकत्र येऊन काम केलं. आता एकत्र येऊन काम केलं, आता त्याच्यामध्ये काही लोकांनी म्हणा त्याचा अर्थ वेगवेगळा काढला. मोदी साहेब म्हणाले एकत्र या, विकासासाठी एकत्र या. आता लोकांना आवाहन केलं, जसं आम्ही काय त्याच्यामध्ये जातीपाती धर्माचा उल्लेख केला नाही, पण मतदानासाठी एकत्र या, विकासासाठी एकत्र या, या राज्याला पुढे घेऊन जाण्यासाठी एकत्र या, असं आवाहन करणं काय चुकीचं आहे. आणि लोकांनी ते एकत्र येऊन एकजुटीचं दर्शन या निवडणुकीमध्ये घडवलं आणि मतांची टक्केवारी वाढली, मतदानाची टक्केवारी वाढली, महिलांच्या, आमच्या लाडक्या बहिणींच्या टक्केवारी वाढली. आतापर्यंत महिलांचं टक्केवारी कमी असायची, पुरुषांपेक्षा, पण यावेळेस ती टक्केवारी जास्त आहे. आणि म्हणून लाडक्या बहिणी आमच्या ज्या आहेत त्या लाडक्या बहिणींनी सावत्र भावांना चांगला जोडा दाखवलेला आहे. आणि आम्ही म्हणायचो ना, खोडा घालणाऱ्यांना जोडा दाखवा. तर एकंदरीत ही निवडणूक जी आहे, ही निवडणूक विकासाच्या अजेंड्यावर, कल्याणकारी योजनांच्या ह्याच्यावर आणि जे विचार आहेत, आज आमचे शिवसेना म्हणून बाळासाहेबांचे विचार आहेत, दिघे साहेबांची शिकवण, मोदीजींची जे काही जो त्यांचा सपोर्ट आहे, केंद्राचा सपोर्ट आहे, या सगळ्या गोष्टी ज्या आहेत या निवडणुकीमध्ये कामी आले. शेवटी लोकांना काय पाहिजे? लोकांना शिव्याशाप नको आहे, लोकांना आरोप प्रत्यारोप नको आहे, लोकांना सुडाचं राजकारण नको आहे. लोकांना हवंय डेव्हलपमेंट हवं आहे आणि विकास विकास आणि विकास यावर आम्ही भर दिला. आणि आज त्यामध्ये किती आरोप केले, खोटे बोला, आपण रेटून बोला. आता अजितदादा मगाशी म्हणाले की तुम्ही पण काय काय ते बातम्या अशा सकाळी तर अशा बातम्या चालल्या होत्या की बोला आमचा काय कार्यक्रम होतो का काय,
आमचा करेक्ट कार्यक्रम
तर याच्यामध्ये खूप चांगलं निर्णय झाला, चांगला एक आपला ऐतिहासिक विजय झालेला आहे. आणि त्यामुळे खऱ्या अर्थाने आमची जबाबदारी वाढलेली आहे. आता या सगळ्या ज्या काही जे घेतलेले आम्ही निर्णय आहेत, हे आमचा एकही निर्णय कागदावर राहिलेला नाही. मी त्या सगळ्या निर्णयात जाऊ इच्छित नाही, पण एकही निर्णय आम्ही कागदावर ठेवला नाही. कुठली योजना आहे ती कार्यान्वित केली आम्ही. आणि त्यामुळे जो लोकांचा विश्वास, शेवटी यापूर्वी देखील आपण पाहिलं की काँग्रेस सरकार ज्या ठिकाणी असतील त्यांनी किंवा महाविकास आघाडी ज्यांनी ज्यांनी काही निर्णय घेतले, काही आश्वासनं दिली, ती पाळली नाहीत. आश्वासनं दिली, नंतर कर्नाटकमधलंच आश्वासन घ्या, हिमाचलमधलं घ्या, आपल्या राजस्थानमधलं घ्या पूर्वीचं, की त्यामध्ये आश्वासन दिल्यानंतर निवडून आल्यानंतर केंद्राकडे पैसे मागायला लागले. आमच्याकडे पैसे नाही, हमारे पास पैसे नाही. असं आम्ही केलं नाही. आम्ही जे बोललो, आमची हातपाय काय म्हणतो त्याला, पांघरून पाहून आम्ही ते आम्ही अंतरून पाहून पाय पसरले. आणि ज्या योजना आम्ही केल्या, या योजनांचं पूर्णपणे त्याच्यामध्ये कुठलीही योजना बंद होणार नाही याची आम्ही काळजी घेतली. सगळे नियम आम्ही पाळले, सगळ्या RBIच्या केंद्र सरकारच्या गाईडलाईन आम्ही पाळल्या, कुठलंही व्हायलेशन आम्ही केलं नाही. आर्थिक दृष्टिकोनातून जे जे काही आम्ही नियोजन करायचं ते केलं. आणि त्यामुळे त्यांना लोकांनी खोटं ठरवलं. ते आम्हाला म्हणाले तुम्ही लाडकी बहीण योजना देताय, पैसे कुठून आणणार, पैसे कुठून आहे, हे फसवं आहे. आणि त्यांनीच आमची योजना चोरून नंतर त्यांच्या वचननाम्यामध्ये टाकली. मग तुम्ही कुठून आणणार? म्हणजे लोकांना कळलं की हे फक्त बोलतायत, करणार नाहीत. आणि विश्वासाचा भाग आहे. आम्ही 2-2.5 वर्षामध्ये जे करून केलं ते लोकांसमोर आहे. आम्ही कुठलंही काही याच्यामध्ये लपवाछपवी केली नाही. जे आहे ते स्पष्टपणे आम्ही मांडलं लोकांच्या समोर. लोकांच्या दरबारामध्ये आम्ही गेलो आणि लोकांना काम आवडतं, लोकांना विकास पाहिजे, लोकांना कल्याणकारी योजना पाहिजेत, ते आम्ही देण्याचा प्रयत्न केला आणि विकासाकडे या राज्याला नेण्याचा आम्ही प्रयत्न केला. यामध्ये केंद्राचा आम्हाला खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर सपोर्ट मिळाला. 10 वर्षामध्ये, मी तो आकडा अगोदर पण मी सांगितला होता, मनमोहन सिंग प्रधानमंत्री होते, 10 वर्षात राज्याला त्यांनी 2 लाख कोटी दिले. पण यावेळेस 10 वर्षामध्ये मोदीजींनी 10 लाख कोटी दिले. हे आताचं नवीन उदाहरण तर 76,000 कोटी वाढवण बंदर आहे, डिगी बंदर आहे. अशी म्हणजे डेव्हलपमेंटसाठी जे आहे, मग ते एअर कनेक्टिव्हिटी असेल, वॉटर कनेक्टिव्हिटी, रेल कनेक्टिव्हिटी, रोड कनेक्टिव्हिटी असेल, अनेक प्रकल्पांना जे काही पाण्याची योजना असतील आमच्या, त्या सगळ्याला खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर सपोर्ट केला. आणि त्यामुळे आम्ही या राज्याला विकासाकडे घेऊन जाऊ शकलो आणि लोकांना कल्याणकारी योजना आम्ही देऊ शकलो. आणि लोकांना आम्ही याच्यामध्ये मतं नाही, आम्ही लोकांची मनं जिंकलेली आहे. आज लोकांना शेवटी काय, विश्वास महत्त्वाचा आहे. विश्वासावर सगळ्या गोष्टी चालतात. तुम्ही काही सांगा आणि नंतर त्या हात वरती करा, अशा प्रकारचं काम आमच्याकडून झालं नाही. आणि त्यामुळे आम्ही काम करणारे लोक आहोत, कार्यकर्ते आहोत आणि म्हणून आम्ही 24/7 काम केलं. जेव्हा जेव्हा शेतकरी अडचणीत आला तेव्हा तेव्हा त्याच्या मागे आम्ही उभं राहिलो. त्याला वाऱ्यावर आम्ही सोडलं नाही. आणि त्यामुळे जो जो सर्वसामान्य घटक जेव्हा जेव्हा अडचणीत आला त्याच्या मागे आम्ही उभं राहण्याचं काम केलं. त्यामुळे एक प्रकारचं हे सरकार जे आहे, एक पाठीराखा सरकार, एक सरकार जे आहे हे सर्वसामान्याला न्याय देणारं सरकार आहे. जनतेच्या पाठीमागे ताकदीने उभं राहणारं सरकार आहे. जसं आमच्या मागे केंद्र सरकार ताकदीने उभं राहिलं तसं आम्ही जनतेच्या मागे उभे राहिलो. आणि म्हणूनच आम्हाला हा असा प्रचंड दैदिप्यमान हा विजय मिळालेला आहे. आणि आम्ही या विजयाचं श्रेय जे आहे आमच्या मतदारांना देतो, जनतेला देतो. जे आमचे महायुतीचे सर्व कार्यकर्ते आहेत त्यांनी मेहनत घेतली आहे त्या सगळ्यांना देतो. आणि म्हणूनच यापुढे जे काही काम आहे या जनतेच्या हितासाठी करणं एवढंच आमची जबाबदारी आहे. त्यामुळे पुन्हा एकदा मी आपल्या सगळ्या पत्रकारांना मनापासून धन्यवाद देतो, आपलेही आभार मानतो. आणि आता इथून पुढे तुम्ही खऱ्या चांगल्या बातम्या दिल्या तर तुमचा TRP वाढत जाईल. आमचे प्रकल्प जे आम्ही सुरू केलेत त्याच्या बातम्या द्या, लोकांच्या फायद्याचे जे प्रकल्प आहेत त्याच्या बातम्या द्या.
देवेंद्र जी, वाचाळवीरांच्या बातम्या देऊ नका.
देवेंद्र जी, एक सवाल ये है कि महाराष्ट्र में पिछले कुछ समय से जाति जाति में लगातार एक दंगा फैलाने की कोशिश हो रही थी. क्या स्थिर सरकार को लेकर के मैंडेट है क्या? दूसरा, वोट जिहाद शब्द आपने इस्तेमाल किया था, इस बार भी ऐसी कोशिश कई जगहों पर हुई थी, उसको कैसा जवाब?
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक जो नारा दिया था, एक है तो सेफ है, सब समाज को साथ में लाने वाली जो बात प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कही थी, महाराष्ट्र के लोगों ने उसको रिस्पॉन्ड किया है. और महाराष्ट्र के सभी समाजों ने एक साथ मिलकर एक बड़ा मैंडेट हमको दिया है. मुझे लगता है कि आज निश्चित रूप से जो लोग तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति करना चाहते थे, जो डिविजिव पॉलिटिक्स करना चाहते थे, उनको करारा जवाब जनता ने ही दिया है. और प्रधानमंत्री जी की बात को लोगों ने यहाँ पर एक्सेप्ट किया है.
आप दोनों को लेकर के आरोप लग रहे थे बार बार. आप दोनों के लिए साथ की लड़ाई थी शिवांगी ठाकुर तुलसी न्यूज, एकनाथ जी और अजित पवार जी की नकली है. क्या आपको लगता है आज के बाद ये आरोप अब जनता ने जवाब दे दिया है, आपकी ओर से क्या जवाब दिया जाएगा? क्योंकि असली और नकली का फैसला
जनता ने दिखाया ना. अभी आपने पहले ही बोल दिया ना.
नहीं, आपकी ओर से जाना चाहते हैं क्योंकि देखिए बार बार
नहीं, देखिए जनता ने आज बता दिया है. असली नकली में मैं जाऊंगा नहीं, लेकिन बाला साहब ठाकरे जी की विचारधारा वाली जो शिवसेना है, शिवसेना भाजपा की गठबंधन वाली जो शिवसेना है, एक विचारधारा वाली शिवसेना आज लोगों ने तय कर लिया है. कौन है? मैंडेट दिया है लोगों ने आज. अभी तो मुझे लगता है वो तो अभी उनको तो हम कैसे रोकेंगे, वो तो और कुछ ना कुछ बोलते रहेंगे. लेकिन जनता की अदालत में जाने के बाद उनको भी दिखाया है और हमें भी दिखाया है. ईवीएम का देखो, अभी झारखंड में ईवीएम अच्छा है क्या? झारखंड में, कर्नाटक में ईवीएम अच्छा था. जब अभी वो लोग पहले जब जीतने के बाद बोलते ईवीएम अच्छा है, इलेक्शन कमिश्नर अच्छा है, वो लोग तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक तो उनको सलाह मशवरा देते हैं उनको. वो जो यंत्रणा उनके बाजू से, मतलब उनके फेवर में रिजल्ट आते अच्छी है. अभी तो वोटर लिस्ट पे भी उन्होंने ऑब्जेक्शन लिया था. तो जब हार जाते हैं तो बोलते ये यंत्रणा खराब है, जीतते तो बोलते अच्छा है. ऐसा कैसा है? तो ये तो देखिए, यही तो मैं बता रहा हूँ कि जनता ने पूरी तरह, मैंने पहले भी कहा था कि पूरी तरह थंपिंग मेजोरिटी मिलेगी. ये पूरा लैंडस्लाइड विक्ट्री है ये पूरी तरह. अभी ये जनता ने भरपूर दिया है. अभी उनको उनकी जगह दिखाइए.
मुख्यमंत्री बनने वाला है, ऐसे में आप तीनों में कौन होगा?
अरे भैया अभी तो आंकड़े भी आने के अभी चालू है ना, काउंटिंग चालू है। अभी होने के बाद हमारी तीनों पार्टियां बैठेगी। हमारे जैसे आपको बताते हैं, जैसे हमने सीटों का बंटवारा हुआ, हमें कोई मतभेद हमारे में नहीं थे, आज भी कोई मतभेद नहीं है। हम हमारे वरिष्ठ और हम लोग बैठकर उसके ऊपर निर्णय लेंगे।
बच्चे हैं नई सरकार को लेकर के, तो क्या कब तक दावा पेश करेंगे गवर्नर के पास?
अरे हमें करो ना,
कब तक दावा पेश करेंगे गवर्नर के पास? क्योंकि अब 26 तारीख जो है वो डेट पिछली बार हुआ था, 5 साल पूरा होगा,
समय पे सब बराबर होगा।
पहले तो तीनों पार्टियां अपना अपना नेता चुनती है, अभी रिजल्ट ही आने का है। रिजल्ट आने के बाद सारे एमएलएस को बुलाना पड़ता है, अपने अपने पार्टी का नेता चुनते हैं, उसके बाद ये प्रक्रिया होती है। आप बिल्कुल चिंता मत करिए, तीनों पार्टियां साथ में बैठकर और अठौली जी का भी मशवरा हम लेंगे और इसका निर्णय करेंगे।
महाविकास अघाड़ी में दादा होटल बुक किए थे, वहाँ पर एमएलए को रखा जाएगा।
तो ये जनता ने तय किया है ना,
पर एक कमेंट
जनता ने इतना भरोसा दिखाया है, अभी हमें जिम्मेदारी बढ़ गई है।
2014-2019 में लिखा
हाँ, तो फिर वही तो पब्लिक जनता ने दिखा दिया है, जनता ने पूरा विश्वास दिखाया, तो हम पूरे विश्वास के साथ अभी काम करेंगे।
सीएम साहब 3 होटल महाविकास अघाड़ी ने बुक किए थे, कल से मीटिंग हुई थी यहाँ पर।
हमने एक भी मीटिंग नहीं करी थी, हम लोग शांत बैठे थे।
हमने मीटिंग भी नहीं करी थी और होटल भी बुक नहीं किया था, क्योंकि हमें मालूम था थम्पिंग मेजॉरिटी मिलने वाली है।
उनके आवश्यकता पड़े तो उनके होटल हम मांग लेंगे,
उनकी बुकिंग हम ले लेंगे। नाही, बरेचसे झालेत ना, काँग्रेसचे मोठे बाळासाहेब थोरात आणि काय पृथ्वीराज चव्हाण, बहुत से लोगों का हुआ है।
निकाल लागलेला आहे, तरी पण संजय राऊतांचं असं म्हणणं आहे का काहीतरी गडबड आहे।
हा लोकांच्या मनातला निकाल नाहीये, बॅलेटवर निवडणुका घ्यायला नाही
संजय राऊतची बरोबर आहे।
चुनाव प्रचार के दौरान
अरे भैया
चला आता 2 प्रश्न मराठीत घेऊ आपण, महाराष्ट्रात बसलो आणि मग संपतो। 2 प्रश्न मराठी।
अरे जाने दो ना, एक ही सवाल है क्या? आपका सवाल खत्म हुआ? सवाल खत्म?
असं म्हणतात की बॅलेट पेपरवर निवडणुका घ्या, ईव्हीएमचा निर्णय माहीत नाही
पुन्हा एकदा तुम्हाला विचारतो, संजय राऊत कोण?
ईव्हीएमचा निर्णय मान्य आहे, मान्य आहे, मान्य आहे।
चांगले दिवस आणून त्याला सुपरमॅन करायचं, पण त्यांनी आम्हाला या निवडणुकीत सुपरमॅन सारखं काम करून दाखवलं आणि एवढं भरभरून त्यांनी आशीर्वाद दिले की लोकांनी एवढंच आहे की यामध्ये बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी स्पष्ट झाल्या। लोकांनी कल्याणाचं आणि विकासाचं राजकारण स्वीकारलं, लोकांनी सुडाचं, आरोपाचं, द्वेषाचं राजकारण झिडकारलं आणि म्हणून 2 निवडणुका ज्या लोकसभेमध्ये पण आणि लोकसभेत फेक नॅरेटिव्ह वगैरे सगळं केलं, काय काय केलं, संविधान बदलणार वगैरे, सगळ्या जातीमध्ये भीती निर्माण केली, प्रत्येकाला घाबरवलं, तरी सुद्धा एवढं होऊन पण प्रधानमंत्रीपदी मोदी साहेबच बसले। आता ते म्हणाले जनतेच्या दरबारात जाऊ, आम्ही जनतेच्या दरबारात जाऊ, लोकसभेच्या वेळेस पण गेले, पण शेवटी एवढं करून, एवढे सगळं खोटं नाटं सांगून, लोकांना घाबरवून पण प्रधानमंत्रीपदी शेवटी मोदी साहेब बसले आणि आताही म्हणाले आम्ही जनतेच्या दरबारात जाऊ। आता जनतेने त्यांना जो काय मॅन्डेट द्यायचा तो दिलेला आहे आणि त्यामुळे जनतेने पूर्णपणे विकासाला आणि कल्याणकारी योजनांना स्वीकारलेला आहे। यामध्ये लोक रोज आमचं सरकार स्थापन झाल्यापासून रोज सरकार पडणार, सरकार पडणार, सरकार पडणार, रोज आम्हाला 3-4 शब्द ठेवले होते त्यांनी. ते शब्द तुम्हाला माहित आहे, मी ते परत त्याचा उच्चार करू इच्छित नाही. पण 4था शब्द होता का? नाही. पण आम्ही त्याला आरोपाने उत्तर नाही दिलं. आम्ही कामातून उत्तर दिलं त्याला, आणि कामातून उत्तर दिलं, आणि ते काम लोकांना भावलं की बाबा हे काम करणारे लोक आहेत आणि काम सर्वसामान्य लोक आहेत. मी स्वतःला काय समजायचो, सीएम म्हणजे चीफ मिनिस्टर आहे, मी म्हणायचो कॉमन मॅन आहे. आता कॉमन मॅन मध्ये मी जायचो. आता आमचे दोन्ही उपमुख्यमंत्री दोन्ही आम्ही 24/7 काम करत होतो, आणि याच्यामुळे घरी बसून सरकार चालवता येत नाही, फेसबुकवरून सरकार चालवता येत नाही, हे स्पष्ट झालेलं आहे. आणि म्हणून आम्ही लोकांच्या, बाळासाहेब सांगायचे, कार्यकर्ता घरात नाही लोकांच्या दारात शोभून दिसतो. शासन आपल्या दारी आम्ही घेऊन गेलो, शासन आपल्या दारी घेऊन गेलो. आणि म्हणूनच आज बाळासाहेबांच्या विचारांनी आम्ही सरकार स्थापन केलं 2019ला मोदी साहेबांच्या आशीर्वादाने. आणि 2019ला जे सरकार स्थापन व्हायला पाहिजे होतं ते सरकार स्थापन झालं नाही, ते लोकांनी बरोबर लक्षात ठेवलेलं आहे. लोक ते विसरलेले नाहीत. आणि म्हणून या निवडणुकीत देखील कोण कुठल्या पक्षाचा, आता तुमचा कुठला पक्ष आहे? तुमचा राष्ट्रवादी. आता तो कोणाचा आहे ते लोकांनी ठरवलं, आणि
शिवसेना कोणाची तेही ठरवलं.
लोकांनी ठरवलं. त्यामुळे आता बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी त्या स्पष्ट झालेल्या आहेत, बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी स्पष्ट झाल्या. आणि मला समाधान आहे की 2019ला 56 जागा आल्या होत्या, आणि त्या 56 मला वाटतं आताही 56 जागा आल्या, अजून चालू आहे. पण एकंदरीत आताच्या पर्यंत म्हणजे विकासाला लोकांनी महत्त्व दिलं. मोदीजींनी, आता अमित भाई असतील, नड्डाजी आहेत, तिथं पियुषजी आहेत, केंद्रीय मंत्री आपले भूपेंद्रजी आहेत, राजनाथ सिंगजी, बऱ्याच सगळ्या लोकांनी, आठवले साहेब तर आपल्या सोबतच आहेत, आठवले साहेब सोबत 100%. तर एकंदरीत आपण सगळ्यांनी या निवडणुकीमध्ये एकत्र येऊन काम केलं. आता एकत्र येऊन काम केलं, आता त्याच्यामध्ये काही लोकांनी म्हणा त्याचा अर्थ वेगवेगळा काढला. मोदी साहेब म्हणाले एकत्र या, विकासासाठी एकत्र या. आता लोकांना आवाहन केलं, जसं आम्ही काय त्याच्यामध्ये जातीपाती धर्माचा उल्लेख केला नाही, पण मतदानासाठी एकत्र या, विकासासाठी एकत्र या, या राज्याला पुढे घेऊन जाण्यासाठी एकत्र या, असं आवाहन करणं काय चुकीचं आहे. आणि लोकांनी ते एकत्र येऊन एकजुटीचं दर्शन या निवडणुकीमध्ये घडवलं, आणि मतांची टक्केवारी वाढली, मतदानाची टक्केवारी वाढली, महिलांच्या, आमच्या लाडक्या बहिणींच्या टक्केवारी वाढली. आतापर्यंत महिलांचं टक्केवारी कमी असायची पुरुषांपेक्षा, पण यावेळेस ती टक्केवारी जास्त आहे. आणि म्हणून लाडक्या बहिणी आमच्या ज्या आहेत, त्या लाडक्या बहिणींनी सावत्र भावांना चांगला जोडा दाखवलेला आहे. आणि आम्ही म्हणायचो ना, खोडा घालणाऱ्यांना जोडा दाखवा. तर एकंदरीत ही निवडणूक जी आहे, ही निवडणूक विकासाच्या अजेंड्यावर, कल्याणकारी योजनांच्या ह्याच्यावर, आणि जे विचार आहेत, आज आमचे शिवसेना म्हणून बाळासाहेबांचे विचार आहेत, दिघे साहेबांची शिकवण, मोदीजींची जे काही जो त्यांचा सपोर्ट आहे, केंद्राचा सपोर्ट आहे, या सगळ्या गोष्टी ज्या आहेत या निवडणुकीमध्ये कामी आले. शेवटी लोकांना काय पाहिजे? लोकांना शिव्याशाप नको आहे, लोकांना आरोप प्रत्यारोप नको आहे, लोकांना सुडाचं राजकारण नको आहे. लोकांना हवंय डेव्हलपमेंट हवं आहे, आणि विकास आणि विकास यावर आम्ही भर दिला. आणि आज त्यामध्ये किती आरोप केले, खोटे बोला, आपण रेटून बोला. आता अजितदादा मगाशी म्हणाले की तुम्ही पण काय काय ते बातम्या अशा, सकाळी तर अशा बातम्या चालल्या होत्या की बोला आमचा काय कार्यक्रम होतो का काय,
आमचा करेक्ट कार्यक्रम.
तर याच्यामध्ये खूप चांगलं निर्णय झाला, चांगला एक आपला ऐतिहासिक विजय झालेला आहे. आणि त्यामुळे खऱ्या अर्थाने आमची जबाबदारी वाढलेली आहे. आता या सगळ्या ज्या काही जे घेतलेले आम्ही निर्णय आहेत, की आमचा एकही निर्णय कागदावर राहिलेला नाही. मी त्या सगळ्या निर्णयात जाऊ इच्छित नाही, पण एकही निर्णय आम्ही कागदावर ठेवला नाही. कुठली योजना आहे ती कार्यान्वित केली आम्ही. आणि त्यामुळे जो लोकांचा विश्वास, शेवटी यापूर्वी देखील आपण पाहिलं की काँग्रेस सरकार ज्या ठिकाणी असतील त्यांनी किंवा महाविकास आघाडी ज्यांनी काही निर्णय घेतले, काही आश्वासनं दिली, ती पाळली नाहीत. आश्वासनं दिली, नंतर कर्नाटकमधलंच आश्वासन घ्या, हिमाचलमधलं घ्या, आपल्या राजस्थानमधलं घ्या पूर्वीचं, की त्यामध्ये आश्वासन दिल्यानंतर निवडून आल्यानंतर केंद्राकडे पैसे मागायला लागले. आमच्याकडे पैसे नाही, हमारे पास पैसे नाही. असं आम्ही केलं नाही. आम्ही जे बोललो, आमची हातपाय काय म्हणतो त्याला, पांघरून पाहून आम्ही ते आम्ही अंतरून पाहून पाय पसरले. आणि ज्या योजना आम्ही केल्या, या योजनांचं पूर्णपणे त्याच्यामध्ये कुठलीही योजना बंद होणार नाही याची आम्ही काळजी घेतली. सगळे नियम आम्ही पाळले, सगळ्या RBIच्या केंद्र सरकारच्या गाईडलाईन आम्ही पाळल्या. कुठलंही व्हायलेशन आम्ही केलं नाही. आर्थिक दृष्टिकोनातून जे काही आम्ही नियोजन करायचं ते केलं. आणि त्यामुळे त्यांना लोकांनी खोटं ठरवलं. ते आम्हाला म्हणाले, तुम्ही लाडकी बहीण योजना देताय, पैसे कुठून आणणार, पैसे कुठून आहे, हे फसवं आहे. आणि त्यांनीच आमची योजना चोरून नंतर त्यांच्या वचननाम्यामध्ये टाकली. मग तुम्ही कुठून आणणार? म्हणजे लोकांना कळलं की हे फक्त बोलतायत, करणार नाहीत. आणि विश्वासाचा भाग आहे. आम्ही 2-2.5 वर्षामध्ये जे केलं ते लोकांसमोर आहे. आम्ही कुठलंही काही याच्यामध्ये लपवाछपवी केली नाही. जे आहे ते स्पष्टपणे आम्ही मांडलं लोकांच्या समोर. लोकांच्या दरबारामध्ये आम्ही गेलो आणि लोकांना काम आवडतं, लोकांना विकास पाहिजे, लोकांना कल्याणकारी योजना पाहिजेत, ते आम्ही देण्याचा प्रयत्न केला आणि विकासाकडे या राज्याला नेण्याचा आम्ही प्रयत्न केला. यामध्ये केंद्राचा आम्हाला खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर सपोर्ट मिळाला. 10 वर्षामध्ये, मी तो आकडा अगोदर पण मी सांगितला होता, मनमोहन सिंग प्रधानमंत्री होते, 10 वर्षात राज्याला त्यांनी 2 लाख कोटी दिले. पण यावेळेस 10 वर्षामध्ये मोदीजींनी 10 लाख कोटी दिले. हे आताचं नवीन उदाहरण तर 76,000 कोटी वाढवण बंदर आहे, दिघी बंदर आहे. अशी म्हणजे डेव्हलपमेंटसाठी जे आहे, मग ते एअर कनेक्टिव्हिटी असेल, वॉटर कनेक्टिव्हिटी, रेल कनेक्टिव्हिटी, रोड कनेक्टिव्हिटी असेल, अनेक प्रकल्पांना जे काही पाण्याची योजना असतील आमच्या, त्या सगळ्याला खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर सपोर्ट केला. आणि त्यामुळे आम्ही या राज्याला विकासाकडे घेऊन जाऊ शकलो आणि लोकांना कल्याणकारी योजना आम्ही देऊ शकलो. आणि लोकांना आम्ही याच्यामध्ये मतं नाही, आम्ही लोकांची मनं जिंकलेली आहे. आज लोकांना शेवटी काय, विश्वास महत्त्वाचा आहे. विश्वासावर सगळ्या गोष्टी चालतात. तुम्ही काही सांगा आणि नंतर त्या हात वरती करा, अशा प्रकारचं काम आमच्याकडून झालं नाही. आणि त्यामुळे आम्ही काम करणारे लोक आहोत, कार्यकर्ते आहोत. आणि म्हणून आम्ही 24/7 काम केलं. जेव्हा जेव्हा शेतकरी अडचणीत आला तेव्हा तेव्हा त्याच्या मागे आम्ही उभं राहिलो. त्याला वाऱ्यावर आम्ही सोडलं नाही. आणि त्यामुळे जो सर्वसामान्य घटक जेव्हा जेव्हा अडचणीत आला त्याच्या मागे आम्ही उभं राहण्याचं काम केलं. त्यामुळे एक प्रकारचं हे सरकार जे आहे, एक पाठीराखा सरकार, एक सरकार जे आहे हे सर्वसामान्याला न्याय देणारं सरकार आहे. जनतेच्या पाठीमागे ताकदीने उभं राहणारं सरकार आहे. जसं आमच्या मागे केंद्र सरकार ताकदीने उभं राहिलं, तसं आम्ही जनतेच्या मागे उभे राहिलो. आणि म्हणूनच आम्हाला हा असा प्रचंड दैदिप्यमान हा विजय मिळालेला आहे. आणि आम्ही या विजयाचं श्रेय जे आहे आमच्या मतदारांना देतो, जनतेला देतो. जे आमचे महायुतीचे सर्व कार्यकर्ते आहेत त्यांनी मेहनत घेतली आहे त्या सगळ्यांना देतो. आणि म्हणूनच यापुढे जे काही काम आहे या जनतेच्या हितासाठी करणं एवढंच आमची जबाबदारी आहे. त्यामुळे पुन्हा एकदा मी आपल्या सगळ्या पत्रकारांना मनापासून धन्यवाद देतो, आपलेही आभार मानतो. आणि आता इथून पुढे तुम्ही खऱ्या चांगल्या बातम्या दिल्या तर तुमचा TRP वाढत जाईल. आमचे प्रकल्प जे आम्ही सुरू केले त्याच्या बातम्या द्या, लोकांच्या फायद्याचे जे प्रकल्प आहेत त्याच्या बातम्या द्या.
देवेंद्र जी,
वाचाळवीरांच्या बातम्या देऊ नका.
देवेंद्र जी, एक सवाल ये है कि महाराष्ट्र में पिछले कुछ समय से जाति जाति में लगातार एक दंगा फैलाने की कोशिश हो रही थी. क्या स्थिर सरकार को लेकर के मैंडेट है क्या? दूसरा, वोट जिहाद शब्द आपने इस्तेमाल किया था, इस बार भी ऐसी कोशिश कई जगहों पर हुई थी, उसको कैसा जवाब?
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक जो नारा दिया था, एक है तो सेफ है, सब समाज को साथ में लाने वाली जो बात प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कही थी, महाराष्ट्र के लोगों ने उसको रिस्पॉन्ड किया है और महाराष्ट्र के सभी समाजों ने एक साथ मिलकर एक बड़ा मैंडेट हमको दिया है. मुझे लगता है कि आज निश्चित रूप से जो लोग तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति करना चाहते थे, जो डिविजिव पॉलिटिक्स करना चाहते थे, उनको करारा जवाब जनता ने ही दिया है और प्रधानमंत्री जी की बात को लोगों ने यहाँ पर एक्सेप्ट किया है.
आप दोनों को लेकर ये आरोप लग रहे थे बार बार, आप दोनों के लिए साथ की लड़ाई थी शिवांगी ठाकुर जी न्यूज, एकनाथ जी और अजीत पवार जी की नकली है. क्या आपको लगता है आज के बाद ये आरोप अब जनता ने जवाब दे दिया है, आपकी ओर से क्या जवाब दिया जाएगा? क्योंकि असली और नकली का फैसला
जनता ने दिखाया ना. अभी आपने पहले ही बोल दिया ना.
नहीं, आपकी ओर से जाना चाहते हैं क्योंकि देखिए बार बार
नहीं, देखिए जनता ने आज बता दिया है. असली नकली में मैं जाऊंगा नहीं, लेकिन बाबा साहब ठाकरे जी की विचारधारा वाली जो शिवसेना है, शिवसेना भाजपा की गठबंधन वाली जो शिवसेना है, एक विचारधारा वाली शिवसेना आज लोगों ने तय कर लिया है. कौन है? मैंडेट दिया है लोगों ने आज. अभी तो मुझे लगता है वो तो अभी उनको तो हम कैसे रोकेंगे, वो तो और कुछ ना कुछ बोलते रहेंगे, लेकिन जनता की अदालत में जाने के बाद उनको भी दिखाया है और हमें भी दिखाया है. ईवीएम का देखो, अभी झारखंड में है ईवीएम अच्छा है क्या? झारखंड में, कर्नाटक में ईवीएम अच्छा था. जब भी अभी वो लोग पहले जब जीतने के बाद बोलते ईवीएम अच्छा है, इलेक्शन कमिश्नर अच्छा है, वो लोग तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक तो उनको सलाह मशवरा देते हैं उनको. वो जो यंत्रणा उनके बाजू से, मतलब उनके फेवर में रिजल्ट आते अच्छी है. अभी तो वोटर लिस्ट पे भी उन्होंने ऑब्जेक्शन लिया था. तो जब हार जाते हैं तो बोलते ये यंत्रणा खराब है, जीतते तो बोलते अच्छा है. ऐसा कैसा है? तो ये तो देखिए, यही तो मैं बता रहा हूँ कि जनता ने पूरी तरह, मैंने पहले भी कहा था कि पूरी तरह थम्पिंग मेजोरिटी मिलेगी. ये पूरा लैंडस्लाइड विक्ट्री है ये पूरी तरह. अभी ये जनता ने भरपूर दिया है. अभी उनको उनकी जगह दिखाई है. अरे भैया, अभी हम लोग, अभी तो आंकड़े भी आने के अभी चालू है ना, काउंटिंग चलो है. अभी होने के बाद हमारी तीनों पार्टियां बैठेगी. हमारे जैसे आपको बताते हैं, जैसे हमने सीटों का बंटवारा हुआ, हमें कोई मतभेद हमारे में नहीं थे, आज भी कोई मतभेद नहीं है. हम हमारे वरिष्ठ और हम लोग बैठकर उसके ऊपर निर्णय लेंगे.
बच्चे हैं नई सरकार को लेकर के, तो क्या कब तक दावा पेश करेंगे गवर्नर के पास?
अरे हमें करो ना,
कब तक दावा पेश करेंगे गवर्नर के पास? क्योंकि अब 26 तारीख जो है वो डेट पिछली बार हुआ था, 5 साल पूरा होगा.
समय पे सब बराबर होगा.
पहले तो तीनों पार्टियां अपना अपना नेता चुनती है. अभी रिजल्ट ही आने का है. रिजल्ट आने के बाद सारे एमएलएस को बुलाना पड़ता है, अपने अपने पार्टी का नेता चुनते हैं. उसके बाद ये प्रक्रिया होती है. आप बिल्कुल चिंता मत करिए, तीनों पार्टियां साथ में बैठकर और अठौली जी का भी मशवरा हम लेंगे और इसका निर्णय करेंगे.
महाविकास आघाड़ी में दादा लोकल बुक किए थे कि वहाँ पर एमएलए को रखा जाएगा।
पर ये जनता ने तय किया है ना,
पर एक कमेंट
जनता ने इतना भरोसा दिखाया है, अभी हमें जिम्मेदारी बढ़ गई है। हाँ, तो फिर वही तो पब्लिक जनता ने दिखा दिया है, जनता ने पूरा विश्वास दिखाया, तो हम पूरे विश्वास के साथ अभी काम करेंगे।
सीएम साहब 3 होटल महाविकास आघाड़ी ने बोल दिए थे, कल से 3 मीटिंग हुई थी यहाँ पर।
हमने एक भी मीटिंग नहीं करी थी, हम लोग शांत बैठे थे।
हमने मीटिंग भी नहीं करी थी और होटल भी बुक नहीं किया था, क्योंकि हमें मालूम था थम्पिंग मेजॉरिटी मिलने वाली है।
उनके आवश्यकता पड़े तो उनके होटल हम मांग लेंगे,
उनकी बुकिंग हम ले लेंगे। नाही, बरेचसे झालेत ना, काँग्रेसचे मोठे बाळासाहेब थोरात आणि काय काय पृथ्वीराज चव्हाण, बहुत से लोगों का
निकाल लागलेला आहे, तरी पण संजय राऊतांचं असं म्हणणं आहे का काहीतरी गडबड आहे? लोकांच्या मनातला निकाल नाहीये, बॅलेटवर निवडणुका घ्यायला नाही
संजय राऊतची बरोबर आहे।
चुनाव प्रचार के दौरान
अरे भाई
चला आता 2 प्रश्न मराठीत घेऊ आपण, महाराष्ट्रात बसलो आणि मग संपवा। 2 प्रश्न मराठी।
अरे जाने दो ना, एक ही सवाल है क्या? आपका सवाल खत्म हुआ? सवाल खत्म?
असं म्हणतात की बॅलेट पेपरवर निवडणुका घ्या, ईव्हीएमचा निर्णय माहीत नाही।
पुन्हा एकदा तुम्हाला विचारतो, संजय राऊत कोण?
EVMचा निर्णय मान्य आहे, मान्य आहे, मान्य आहे।
माननीय महाविकास भारत माता की वंदे वंदे, छत्रपती शिवाजी महाराज की, छत्रपती संभाजी महाराज की। ज्यांच्या नेतृत्वामध्ये, संघटनेच्या नेतृत्वामध्ये हे अभूतपूर्व यश आम्हाला मिळालंय, ते आमच्या सगळ्यांचे लाडके प्रदेशाध्यक्ष माननीय बावनकुळे साहेबांना मी विनंती करतो की त्यांनी आम्हाला मार्गदर्शन करावं। जय भवानी, जय भवानी, जय 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 भवानी। माननीय बावनकुळे साहेब, भारत माता की वंदे, छत्रपती शिवाजी महाराज की जय भवानी, महामानव डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर की जय श्रीराम, हर हर। महाराष्ट्राचे लोकनेते, आमच्या लाडक्या बहिणीचे देवाभाऊ, यांच्या संपूर्ण योग्य मार्गदर्शनाखाली भारतीय जनता पार्टीने ज्या पद्धतीने आपण सर्वांनी, भारतीय जनता पक्षाच्या नेतृत्वाने, आपल्या सर्व संघटनेच्या कार्यकर्त्यांनी जे काम केलं आणि माननीय आपल्या देशाचे पंतप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदीजी यांच्या नेतृत्वामध्ये एवढं मोठं भूतून भविष्यती या पूर्वीच्या इतिहासामध्ये भारतीय जनता पक्षाला जेवढं यश मिळालं नाही, सर्वात मोठं यश हे आपल्या पक्षाला आणि महायुतीला मिळालं। खरं तर मोदीजींच्या नेतृत्वामध्ये या ठिकाणी आपल्या महाराष्ट्राने एक नेतृत्वपूर्ण यश मिळालं, मोठा विजय मिळाला, जनतेने आपला विश्वास केला आणि आपले केंद्रीय गृहमंत्री अमित भाई यांचं कुशल मार्गदर्शन, आमचे अध्यक्ष JP नड्डाजी आणि आमच्या सर्व केंद्रीय नेतृत्वाने ज्या पद्धतीने या निवडणुकीमध्ये आपल्याला मदत केली आहे आणि सर्वात मोठं आपले प्रभारी भूपेंद्र यादव जी असतील, अश्विनी वैष्णव जी असतील, पियुष जी असतील, विनोद तावडे जी असतील, आपले सर्व केंद्रीय नेते नितीन गडकरी जी आहेत,
योगीजी शिवराज सिंगजी सर्वांनी संपूर्ण महाराष्ट्राच्या केंद्राच्या देशाच्या भारतीय जनता पार्टीने प्रवासी कार्यकर्त्यांनी आपल्याला ज्या पद्धतीने जी मदत केली आहे त्यामुळे आज आपली संघटना ही महायुतीला आणि आपल्या पक्षाला मोठा विजय आपल्याला मिळाला आहे. मी महाराष्ट्राचे लोकनेते देवेंद्र फडणवीसजी यांचं महाराष्ट्राच्या 14 कोटी जनतेच्या वतीने भारतीय जनता पार्टीच्या संघटनेच्या वतीने खूप खूप अभिनंदन करतो. महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेने जो यश दिला आहे ते यश माननीय देवेंद्रजींनी 2014 ते 19 या काळात 2014 ते 19 या काळामध्ये महाराष्ट्राचे लोकप्रिय मुख्यमंत्री म्हणून महाराष्ट्राला क्रमांक 1 वर आणण्याचं काम माननीय देवेंद्रजींनी केलं. आणि आता एकनाथ शिंदे सरकारमध्ये ज्या पद्धतीने देवेंद्रजींनी निर्णय घेतले आहे त्या निर्णयाला महाराष्ट्राने पाठिंबा दिला. मी हे करत असताना महायुतीचे नेते एकनाथ शिंदेजी असतील, अजित पवारजी असतील, संपूर्ण महायुतीच्या नेत्यांचं अभिनंदन करतो, आभार मानतो. पण एवढंच सांगेल, जास्त वेळ घेणार नाही कारण देवेंद्रजी बोलणार आहे. देवेंद्रजी आपल्या कुशल मार्गदर्शनाखाली आम्ही काम केलं. आमच्या भारतीय जनता पार्टीच्या 35 लाख कार्यकर्त्यांनी आमच्या संपूर्ण टीमनी ज्या पद्धतीने आपलं मार्गदर्शन होतं आणि मार्गदर्शन जे देवेंद्रजींच्या मिळालं म्हणूनच हा मोठं यश आपल्याला मिळालं. निश्चितपणे हे यश पुढं वाढत राहील. भारतीय जनता पार्टीची संघटना उत्तरोत्तर अजून प्रगती करेल आणि येणाऱ्या संपूर्ण पुढच्या काळामध्ये स्थानिक स्वराज्य संस्थेच्या निवडणुकीमध्ये सुद्धा भारतीय जनता पार्टी मोठं यश मिळवेल हे मी तुम्हाला आश्वस्त करतो. आणि पुन्हा एकदा भारतीय जनता पार्टीच्या संपूर्ण कार्यकर्त्यांच्या मार्फत आपल्याला जे आज यश मिळालं आहे, आमचे लोकनेते देवेंद्रजी आपल्या ज्या पद्धतीने महाराष्ट्रात त्यांनी पूर्ण पिंजून काढला, महाराष्ट्रामध्ये त्यांनी ज्या पद्धतीने आपलं या ठिकाणी भारतीय जनता पार्टीचं काम पुढे नेलं, मी त्यांना सर्व कार्यकर्त्यांतर्फे अभिनंदन करतो, आभार मानतो. आणि देवेंद्रजींच्या नेतृत्वामध्ये हा महाराष्ट्र पुढे जाईल असा विश्वास व्यक्त करतो आणि माझे 2 शब्द संपवतो. धन्यवाद.
भारत माता की वंदे वंदे. महाराष्ट्राचा ठाणा वाघ ज्याच्या डरकाळीनी तमाम विरोधी पक्ष पळून गेले असे आपल्या सगळ्यांचे लोकप्रिय नेते आणि महाराष्ट्राच्या सगळ्या बहिणींचे देवा भाऊ यांना मी विनंती करतो त्यांनी आम्हाला मार्गदर्शन करावं.
भारत माता की, भारत माता की, छत्रपती शिवाजी महाराज की, धर्मवीर छत्रपती संभाजी महाराज की. जय भवानी, जय भवानी, जय 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 भवानी, जय 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 शिवाजी, जय 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 शिवाजी. भारतरत्न डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांचा, भारतरत्न डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांचा, भगवान बिरसा मुंडांचा, भगवान बिरसा मुंडांचा. आजच्या आपल्या या विजयी सभेमध्ये मंचावर उपस्थित असलेले आपले यशस्वी प्रदेश अध्यक्ष चंद्रशेखर बावनकुळेजी, राष्ट्रीय महामंत्री विनोद तावडेजी, माननीय पियुष गोयलजी, पंकजाताई मुंडे, नुकतेच या ठिकाणी पोहोचलेले रामदास आठवलेजी, त्याचप्रमाणे पिलिपाचे कवाडेजी, मंचावर उपस्थित भारतीय जनता पक्षाचे सर्व ज्येष्ठ नेते, या विजयाकरता ज्यांनी अक्षरशः आपल्या रक्ताचं पाणी केलं ते माझ्या सर्व कार्यकर्ता बंधूंनो आणि तेवढ्याच महत्वाच्या लाडक्या बहिणींनो, आपल्या सर्वांकरता आजचा दिवस अभूतपूर्व आहे.
महाराष्ट्राने पुन्हा एकदा देशाचे प्रधानमंत्री माननीय नरेंद्र मोदीजींवरच विश्वास दाखवलाय. महाराष्ट्राने दाखवून दिलं की आम्ही मोदीजींच्या पाठीशी आहोत आणि महायुतीला भरभरून मतं आज महाराष्ट्राने दिलेली आहेत. आणि म्हणून महाराष्ट्राच्या जनतेचे मनापासून आभार मानतो. या जनतेसमोर आम्ही नतमस्तक आहोत. या जनतेला आम्ही साष्टांग दंडवत या ठिकाणी घालतो, ज्या जनतेने हा विजय आम्हाला दिलाय. खऱ्या अर्थानं आमच्या माननीय मोदीजींच्या नेतृत्वात आम्ही महाराष्ट्रामध्ये ही लढाई सुरू केली. ज्यावेळी लोकसभेच्या निवडणुकीमध्ये फेक नरेटिव्ह या महाराष्ट्रात प्रभावी ठरला आणि आम्ही आवश्यक त्या जागा निवडून आणू शकलो नाही. आमच्या मनामध्ये दुःख होतं की देश मोदीजींसोबत चाललाय, पण आम्ही चुकलो. महाराष्ट्र आम्ही नेऊ शकलो नाही. फेक नरेटिव्हचं उत्तर आम्ही देऊ शकलो नाही. आणि म्हणून निर्धार केला भारतीय जनता पार्टीच्या कार्यकर्त्यांनी, पदाधिकाऱ्यांनी, महायुतीच्या घटकांनी की आता थांबायचं नाही. फेक नरेटिव्हला थेट नरेटिव्हने उत्तर द्यायचं आणि ते उत्तर आपण देऊन दाखवलं. मी या निमित्ताने आमच्या सगळ्या राष्ट्रीय विचारांच्या ज्या संघटना आहेत, राष्ट्रवादाने ओतप्रोत ज्या संघटना आहेत, या संघटनांचे आभार मानतो की हा नरेटिव्ह डिमॉलिश करण्याकरता राष्ट्रीय विचाराने ते देखील पुढे आले. आणि या ठिकाणी अराजकतावादी जे फोर्सेस भारत जोडोच्या नावाने या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये लोकांना तोडण्याचा प्रयत्न करत होते, महाराष्ट्रात अराजकाचं बीजारोपण करत होते, त्यांच्या विरुद्ध ही लढाई सुरू झाली आणि राष्ट्रवादी फोर्सेस सगळे एकत्रित झाले आणि त्यांना दाखवून दिलं की जेव्हा राष्ट्रवादी एकत्रित येतात अराजकवादी चालू शकत नाही. विजय राष्ट्रवादाचाच होणार हे आजच्या विजयाने दाखवून दिलं. आणि म्हणून त्या सर्व राष्ट्रीय विचारांच्या ज्या संघटनांनी, ज्या राष्ट्रवादी विचाराने, ज्या आमच्या परिवारातल्या सगळ्या आमच्या संघटनांनी आम्हाला मदत केली, त्यांचे मी अतिशय मनापासून आज आभार मानतो की तुम्ही हा नरेटिव्ह डिमॉलिश करून टाकला. मी विशेष आभार मानतो आमच्या लाडक्या बहिणींचे, ज्या लाडक्या बहिणींनी या ठिकाणी मोठा आशीर्वाद दिला आणि आपल्या लाडक्या भावांना असं निवडून दिलं की असं वाटलं छप्पर फाड़ के और झाडू लगा के. अशा प्रकारचा विजय बहिणींनी दिला. आणि त्याच वेळी महाराष्ट्रातला शेतकरी, या माझ्या शेतकऱ्याने खऱ्या अर्थानं आम्हाला जो आशीर्वाद दिला, जो पुन्हा फेक नरेटिव्ह त्या ठिकाणी तयार करण्याचा प्रयत्न चालला होता, आमच्या शेतकऱ्यांनी तो फेक नरेटिव्ह धुडकावून लावला आणि या ठिकाणी खऱ्या अर्थानं आम्हाला विजय दिला. आणि सगळ्यात महत्वाचं, या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये एक संदेश देशाच्या प्रधानमंत्र्यांनी दिला. एक है तो, एक है तो, एक है तो. समाजातल्या सगळ्या लोकांनी हा जो संदेश आहे तो समजून घेतला. जाती जातीमध्ये, समाजामध्ये, विभागामध्ये जर आपण या ठिकाणी वाटले गेलो तर काही लोक आपल्यावर राज्य करतात. त्यामुळे या ठिकाणी आपल्याला एकत्रित व्हावंच लागेल. हा
हा संदेश मोदीजींनी जनाजनापर्यंत पोहोचवला आणि मोदीजींचा संदेश घेऊन सगळ्या समाजाचे लोक एकत्रित आले आणि सगळ्यांनी मिळून निर्णय घेतला, एक है तो सेफ है. आणि हे सगळे ज्या वेळेस मतपेटीकडे गेले त्यांचं त्या ठिकाणी बोट हे महायुतीकडेच गेलं, कारण त्यांना माहिती होतं महायुती है तो सेफ है, एक है तो सेफ है. मोदीजींच्या संदेशाचा कमाल हा महाराष्ट्रामध्ये आपल्याला पाहायला मिळाला. एवढंच नाही तर या ठिकाणी ज्या प्रकारचं तुष्टीकरण करण्याचा प्रयत्न चालला होता, कधी वोट जिहादचे नारे दिले जायचे, कधी त्या ठिकाणी वेगळ्या पद्धतीनं एका विशिष्ट समाजाला एकत्रित करून त्याच्या माध्यमातून आम्ही निवडणुका जिंकू अशा प्रकारची वल्गना केली जायची. त्याच्या विरोधात मी आभार मानतो. हा महाराष्ट्र संतांचा महाराष्ट्र आहे. या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये एक मोठी परंपरा आहे, वारकरी पंथाची, महानुभाव पंथाची, वेगवेगळ्या पंथांच्या वेगवेगळ्या परंपरा या ठिकाणी आहेत. पण या जेवढ्या परंपरा आहेत, जेवढे पंथ आहेत, या सगळ्यांनी एकत्रितपणे सांगितलं आम्ही मतदाता जागृती करणार आणि गावामध्ये, पाड्यामध्ये, वाड्यामध्ये, वस्तीमध्ये त्या ठिकाणी आमचे संत देखील पोहोचले आणि त्यांनी जागृती केली की आपल्याला देव आणि देश आणि धर्माची लढाई आहे. ज्याप्रमाणे छत्रपती शिवाजी महाराजांनी आपल्याला सांगितलं होतं स्वराज्य मिळवायचं असेल तर देव, देश आणि धर्माची लढाई आहे. या लढाईमध्ये प्रत्येकाला उतरावं लागेल. तसंच आमच्या सगळ्या संतांनी देखील सांगितलं हे चालणार नाही. या ठिकाणी मुठभर लोकांना एकत्रित करून निकाल बदलता येणार नाही. जो आमची संस्कृती, जो आमचं या ठिकाणी खऱ्या अर्थानं स्वत्व टिकवेल अशांच्या पाठीमागे जावं लागेल. आणि मला अतिशय आनंद आहे, संतांनी आवाज दिला आणि महाराष्ट्राने ओ सांगितलं आणि महाराष्ट्र पाठीमागे आला. आपण म्हणायचो देश चला संतों के साथ, अब होगी ताकत से बात. हे आज महाराष्ट्राने दाखवून दिलं आणि सर्वांना या ठिकाणी आम्ही एकत्रित केलं. विशेषतः ज्या प्रकारे आमच्या अनुसूचित जाती आणि अनुसूचित जमातीच्या समाजाला मोठ्या प्रमाणात संविधानाची भीती दाखवण्यात आली होती. संविधान बदलणार, आरक्षण जाणार, त्यांना देखील हे लक्षात आलं या देशामध्ये भारतरत्न डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांचं संविधान संपूर्ण देशात लागू करणारा कोणी एक नेता असेल तर त्याचं नाव नरेंद्र मोदी आहे. ज्या जम्मू काश्मीरमध्ये 75 वर्ष भारताचं संविधान नव्हतं, ज्या जम्मू काश्मीरमध्ये दलित, आदिवासी, ओबीसींना आरक्षण नव्हतं, त्या ठिकाणी 75 वर्षानंतर संविधान लागू करून दलित, आदिवासी, ओबीसींना आरक्षण देण्याचं काम हे मोदीजींनी केलं. मोदीजी देणारे आहेत, घेणारे नाहीत हे जनतेच्या लक्षात आलं आणि आदिवासी समाज, दलित समाज, सगळे समाज आमच्या पाठीशी आले आणि आज आपण पाहू शकतो की सगळ्यांचा आशीर्वाद आपल्याला मिळालेला आहे. आणि म्हणून बंधू भगिनींनो, माझ्या कार्यकर्ता मित्रांनो, आजचा हा विजय हा सामूहिक प्रयत्नांचा विजय आहे. आपल्या महायुतीमध्ये आपले माननीय मुख्यमंत्री एकनाथ शिंदेजी, माननीय अजितदादा पवार, माननीय आठवले साहेब, आपल्या सोबतचे इतर जे पक्ष होते, मग पिरिपा त्या ठिकाणी असेल, जनसुराज्य असेल, युवा स्वाभिमान असेल, वेगवेगळे पक्ष, या सगळ्या पक्षांनी एकत्रितपणे एक दिलाने ही लढाई लढली. आम्ही एक होतो म्हणून सेफ होतो.
Welcome back, viewers. Today was Judgment Day, 23rd November for Maharashtra and Jharkhand Assembly elections. This was a live coverage of the Indian Express on its official YouTube channel and the website indianexpress.com. Today we are joined for the last word by our senior journalists at the Indian Express, Deeptiman Tiwari and Liz Matthew. And of course, we have with us our correspondent all the way from Jharkhand, Abhishek Angad. Abhishek, coming back to you, the numbers are all out there for 81 assembly seats of Jharkhand. BJP is at 23 and the India Alliance, that is with JMM backed by Congress, is at 57. So last words of the day. How has this entire assembly election been for the state of Jharkhand politically?
Yeah, so 5 things that needs to be taken into account. One, whether or not the religious polarization uptake was there in the state. So Jharkhand has clearly shown that BJP is going to reduce its tally from the last election from 25 to 23. It seems like that. So they will lose 2 more seats this election. That's number 1. Number 2 is the Kenchi factor, which I say is basically...
we are also joined by Sandeep Singh from Bombay. Sandeep, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
In the meantime, just for a roundup, Liz, we began the morning with the early trends and now Deeptiman is with us. Earlier it was not neck to neck, it was starting with Mahayuti in the lead and JMM was looking comfortable in the morning, and now it is advantage BJP, in fact, not just Mahayuti, advantage BJP in Maharashtra, heaving a sigh of relief, and obviously in Congress has sort of a saving face in Jharkhand with its alliance with JMM. What are your thoughts?
See, the BJP, of course, it is a big victory for BJP because we know that, after losing power in the last election because Uddhav Thackerays Shiv Sena had broken up and joined the opposition.
Right.
Devendra Fadnavis and the BJP were in kind of like in a very embarrassed situation. Then they made some efforts initially which failed. Again in 2022, they broke, the BJP had managed to break Shiv Sena and got Eknath Shinde and formed the government. But still Fadnavis was kind of in the sidelines because he was the deputy. He was, despite his unwillingness to be a side player, he was forced to become the deputy chief minister. And many in the BJP, I was just thinking while I was sitting here, many in the BJP had kind of written off Devendra Fadnavis. First, because Devendra Fadnavis initially had emerged as the chief ministerial face of the BJP despite being a non-Maratha, because Marathas are the dominant caste in Maharashtra, and mostly the party, especially when they are playing a very tight game, they go for the the dominant caste factor, not to antagonize, but it was a kind of experiment with BJP. So when the BJP failed to retain power in Maharashtra, everybody had written off again, saying that the BJP's the game itself had failed, in not just in Maharashtra but in Jharkhand that time, and also to an extent in Haryana, where they were forced to form alliance with another party to be in power in 2019. So now again, but the Fadnavis has proved that his patience and that perseverance have worked. Of course, Mr. Fadnavis has the support of ideological parent, the RSS. The RSS has been pitching for Fadnavis, and the many in the RSS did not like the fact that the Fadnavis was asked to be the the deputy chief minister. So it is we should also keep in mind that it is a place where BJP is not traditionally it's not a BJP stronghold. BJP had to join hands with Thackeray for the Shiv Sena to get that support, and also to give away to the chief ministry support, despite being a very key party, the dominant party at one point of time to its chief ministership to the Shiv Sena. So, like Haryana, this is also a state where BJP was not it is not a BJP stronghold, but it had even kind of beat the in anti-incumbency factor, like in Haryana, where again, like I mentioned, in that there also the dominant caste was not in favor of BJP in Haryana, Jat. Here also the dominant caste, which is Marathas, were expected to be divided, and the BJP or nobody had calculated Marathas as the key support base of BJP.
Correct.
But because of that, the BJP had to join hands with other parties, whether it is Ajit Pawar, NCPs, and also Shinde, and both of them managed to bring in the Maratha vote to the Mahayuti and to the BJP. This really, for BJP, not just its politics, and also as a coalition partner, BJP has written another story of success, as a coalition partner by winning, making such kind of a comeback in Maharashtra.
Absolutely. दीप्तिमान, आज की तारीख में 23 नवंबर को महागाथा क्या है?
महागाथा तो बस बीजेपी है, क्योंकि महाराष्ट्र एक बहुत बड़ा स्टेट है जहाँ पे इलेक्शन को ये माना गया था कि बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स होगा, नेक टू नेक फाइट होगी, कौन जीतेगा कोई बता नहीं सकता, 6 पार्टियां हैं, क्या होगा क्या नहीं होगा। अभी लोकसभा में इन्होंने मुंह की खाई थी महाराष्ट्र में, और ये था कि बैक फुट पर हैं, दे हैव देयर बैक्स टू द वॉल, और जो है वो कांग्रेस की गाड़ी आगे बढ़ रही है। हरियाणा तो एक एबरेशन था, महाराष्ट्र में आप देखेंगे क्या होगा, और आप रिजल्ट देखिए, ऑलमोस्ट 2/3 बहुमत है महायुति की, और सबसे बड़ी एम्बैरेसमेंट जो है वो कांग्रेस के लिए ये है कि उनका पूरा गठबंधन जो है उतनी सीटें भी नहीं ला पाया जितने शिंदे सेना अकेले लेकर आई है।
करेक्ट, एब्सोल्युटली।
तो ये तो मतलब
नंबर्स बहुत स्क्यू हो गए, बहुत
ही ज्यादा। तो उस हिसाब से अगर आप झारखंड में देखें तो झारखंड में ऐसा नहीं है कि बीजेपी कॉन्टेस्ट में ही नहीं है।
करेक्ट,
ठीक है, तो वहाँ पे कांग्रेस और झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा इलेक्शन जीत गए हैं, लेकिन बीजेपी कॉन्टेस्ट में रही है। यहाँ पे तो आप कॉन्टेस्ट में ही नहीं है।
करेक्ट।
आप जो है ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे कि वो 2-3 छोटी पार्टियां जैसे होती हैं कि कोई 10 सीट ला रहा है, कोई 12 सीट ला रहा है, उस तरह से आप इतनी बड़ी पार्टियां हैं, और आप मतलब शिवसेना से भी कम सीटें हैं आपकी। तो काफ़ी बुरी स्थिति है कांग्रेस की महाराष्ट्र में। और ओवरऑल अगर आप देखें तो मतलब इससे जो सबसे बड़ा मैसेज जो महाराष्ट्र इलेक्शन से ये निकलता है कि कांग्रेस अभी भी अपना लोकसभा का कैंपेन जारी रखे हुए है।
राइट।
जो कि असेंबली इलेक्शन में काम नहीं कर रहा है, और इसीलिए उनको ये नतीजे देखने पड़े।
Absolutely. You mentioned that the BJP was backed into a corner with its back to the wall. They managed to break down the wall this time?
Oh, they have pushed back, and how? ये तो मतलब ऐसे नतीजे हैं जो कि शायद किसी ने नहीं सोचे थे, and this is a testament to the fact that BJP learns from its mistakes, pulls up its socks and gets its act together very quickly. They did so in Haryana, they have done again in Maharashtra, and that tells you a party which is organizationally strong, is led by leaders who accept their mistakes and make corrections, and it's a party that works hard on the ground.
Absolutely. Speaking of learning from mistakes, we have now seen that BJP is not able to breach through the tribal vote bank wall. We'll go to that, Liz. But before that, let's move to Sandeep Singh in Mumbai. Sandeep, thank you for joining us. We are joined by Liz and Deeptiman here. Tell us what is happening now. The numbers are all out. How is it looking for each individual party in both the coalitions, that is the Mahayuti and the Maha Vikas Aghadi, at the end of counting day?
No, definitely. I mean, given the numbers that that they are. I mean, as of now, like with the BJP itself at 132, 133. I mean, it just the whole complexion of the Mahayuti alliance itself. Yeah. I mean, now it is not that BJP needs Shiv Sena, Shinde, or am I audible? Am I audible? Hello. Not audible.
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah, you're audible. Please carry on.
Okay. Yeah. So and now it is more likely that NCP Ajit Pawar and Eknath Shinde needs BJP with 133 and just 12 more MLAs needed. So it definitely changes the whole complexion. BJP comes up as a huge victor. This is its highest tally ever. In 2024, it got 122. Now it is around 130. So and this comes in a matter of 5 months. I mean, when they had suffered a huge setback. In an interview to us, Mr. Fadnavis had said that the constitution and the reservation narrative that was there in Lok Sabha, they had no capacity, capability, and apparatus to counter it. And that's when he said that he went to its ideological parivar. And there are some 30 odd organizations that they went there and appealed them to help them counter that narrative. And he told us that they have helped them significantly and they have been able to do that. So it seems, because even if you see Marathwada, Vidarbha, which were weak links, there also they have done exceedingly well. I was just doing a number. You will see, I mean, we all know that the vote share went up significantly from 61.3 odd % to 66.05. In that also the heavy lifting was done by women voters, which went up by, as the voter turnout of women went up from 59% in 2019 to 65%, so 6 percentage point jump. Now, if you see the numbers, I was just doing, so more than 5% wherever the vote share went up in the constituencies. There are 122 such constituencies. Out of that, they have won 108 seats where vote share has gone up. So it seems that the women voters and maybe some lifting by RSS, I mean, getting their voters out of their homes, it has helped them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sandeep, now the bigger question is, who will be the CM of Maharashtra? End of counting day, that is all where all of our attention is. Who do you see taking to the helms of the state government?
I think Liz will have a better idea of who's BJP going to make the CM, but definitely with the numbers as they are, with 133 already in, I mean, I think in all likelihood BJP would want, because even when Mr. Shinde was CM, there were murmurs within the BJP as they wanted their own CM. Yeah, the party wanted, the leaders wanted. So when the legislative assembly, I mean the members meet, the winners meet, as all parties say that our MLAs will sit and decide. So when a clamor from 133 MLAs come, that 130 odd MLAs come, that we want our own CM, I mean, they will have to, they can't ignore it completely. Yeah, so that's where I would leave it, because they would push for their own CM, whether it is Mr. Fadnavis, which he's the tallest leader in the state of the party. So I think that's where it will rest. Yeah.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, because this was an existential sort of a swan song for Sena and NCP, where do you see Sharad Pawar headed to and Uddhav Thackeray headed to?
It's a very tough question. You can never rule out Mr. Sharad Pawar. At 80, 82, 83, when Ajit Pawar broke out, everybody thought that, I mean, what will happen to NCP Sharad Pawar? But he rebuilt it, and we saw the resounding success he had in the Lok Sabha polls. He again has a setback at his hands. Now, for the next assembly elections, it's 5 years from here, so that's a big question mark. But I don't think we can rule him out politically. He will have his play, but yes, this will come as a big setback for him. And even in Western Maharashtra, where where Ajit Pawar has trumped him, everybody was thinking that Mr. Sharad Pawar will hold his vote. So now, I mean, it definitely seems that the party, the bigger, the legacy of NCP, that as of now is in Mr. Ajit Pawar's hands. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Sandeep. Deeptiman, Sandeep said that it is existential, but one can never rule out Sharad Pawar.
There is no doubt about it. Sharad Pawar is one of the shrewdest politicians this country has ever seen. बहुत ही शातिर पॉलिटिशियन है और उनको आप कभी काउंट आउट नहीं कर सकते। और एक तरह से उन्होंने महाराष्ट्र की पॉलिटिक्स को काफ़ी हद तक शेप किया है थ्रू हिज ओन पॉलिटिकल करियर। तो वो आगे क्या स्टेप लेंगे, क्या नहीं लेंगे, क्या एनसीपी दोबारा से एक हो जाएगी या शरद पवार अपनी लड़ाई अकेले लड़ेंगे, ये तो देखने वाली बात होगी। लेकिन एक और चीज़ है कि फॉर ऑल हिज एबिलिटीज एज अ पॉलिटिशियन, द एज इज़ नॉट ऑन हिज साइड।
84.
Yes, so age is not on his side. Maybe in some time the health will not be on his side. So जो भी डिसीजन वो लेंगे वो अपनी पार्टी के फ्यूचर को जितनी जल्दी शेप कर सकें उस चीज़ को ध्यान में रख के वो लेंगे। अब उनके पास बहुत समय नहीं है फॉर actively politicking in the state because politics is a tough job. It requires a lot of mental and physical work. Apart from whatever resources that you have to put in. So I am sure that he is already thinking about the future of his party. And एक चीज़ और ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए कि शरद पवार के लिए कोई भी अलायंस ऐसा नहीं है जो कि नो गो जोन हो, वो कभी नहीं रहा है। शरद पवार had excellent relationship with ठाकरे। बाला साहब के साथ उनके रिलेशनशिप लेजेंडरी है। तब भी जबकि वो लोग हमेशा ऑपोजिशन में रहते थे, कांग्रेस के साथ उन्होंने रिवोल्ट किया था कि सोनिया गांधी के फॉरेन ओरिजिन को लेके, फिर कांग्रेस के साथ भी अलायंस कर लिया उन्होंने। तो उनके लिए कोई नो गो जोन नहीं है। भतीजा फिर चाचा के पास आ भी सकता है, वो भी कोई नो गो जोन होगा या नहीं होगा ये कोई कह नहीं सकता है। तो शरद पवार कैसे, क्योंकि वो उन्हें अपनी पार्टी का फ्यूचर देखना है कैसे आगे बढ़ेगा, तो उस हिसाब से बहुत ही शातिर पॉलिटिशियन है। कोई ना कोई डिसीजन वो सोच समझ कर लेंगे।
Absolutely. Liz, quick thoughts on CM face picks.
It's like Abhi already mentioned, I think Devendra Fadnavis is the prominent, the topmost claimant now because of the kind of victory BJP had managed. Like BJP itself can form the government if they manage to get few more MLAs. That is the situation now. So the Fadnavis and also like I already mentioned, Fadnavis has the support of the Sangh. Also the RSS also supported Fadnavis, and he is considered to be a person who enjoys the confidence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So he has many advantages, and also many in the BJP, even those people who are not very Fadnavis fans, now feel that he's the legitimate he should be the legitimate person to get that position. Although Shinde, there was this, off the record conversation that there was a promise to Mr. Shinde, Eknath Shinde, from the BJP top leadership that if he manages to get 40 plus seats, he can be he can continue as the chief minister candidate. Chief minister of Maharashtra. But the election result, the outcome is in such a way that no such promises or no such the pre decisions, like the pre-poll decisions have any value now, because they have no relevance, because the numbers are, the arithmetic is everything in when it comes to government formation. And in that arithmetic, Fadnavis and also he had the experience, and he has been a very loyal servant or loyal party worker of the BJP. Despite, like I already mentioned, he was not at all willing to take up the post of deputy CM, and he even said it on record. But he was asked to publicly, the party president, the national president, had asked him to take up the post. So he kept quiet, and he was been working silently to an extent. So many in the party feel that he is the right claimant to the post. But of course, the BJP cannot completely ignore Mr. Shinde, because there was already, he is a sitting CM, one, despite being a smaller ally. One. Second, the Maratha vote is also very important for BJP. He and along with Ajit Pawar had brought in that Maratha votes for the thing. So for the future steps also, BJP wants to dominate the politics, of course, in Maharashtra, like many other states. And like I mentioned, it is not a stronghold, a traditional stronghold. So they cannot antagonize any section or any leader who has a say in the political, the journey. So I think it will be a decision they will have to take. I spoke to Union Minister and senior BJP leader Devendra Yadav.
Right.
Ask him how he said all the three parties will have to sit together and decide. So which means it's not going that Shinde is the nobody is saying that. Obviously they will have to take a decision. All the three leaders and the parties will sit together and take a decision.
Absolutely. Before I come back to you for final words, we shall go to Abhishek Angad in Jharkhand. Abhishek, what is the road ahead for Hemant Soren and JMM and Congress alliance now in Jharkhand?
Definitely, if he has to deliver something apart from the welfare measures that he has given, the jobs creation as well as generation of those jobs in the state holds key. If his government doesn't perform this time, there's no chance that he'll again come back to power after 5 years. So that's
right.
The road ahead, and the alliance and very clear, so there is no problem between them. But I just want to mention one important thing is BJP has been reduced to one tribal seat. Last election they won 2. This time, although there are 2 tribal leaders who have won, but Babulal Marandi contested from a general seat, and that also a turncoat, Champai Soren, who was earlier with the JMM, former chief minister, he won from the seat. So out of all 28 tribal seats, BJP has been reduced to 1 tribal seat, and that's a big problem for the BJP for the next 5 years.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Abhishek. Deeptiman, final words. We have seen Congress's performance in Telangana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, that series of elections in December last year. Then we had the Lok Sabha, then we had Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir. How long do you think now Congress needs to spend time on the drawing board? Because Maharashtra was a humongous opportunity for them to avenge themselves for Haryana. What do you think, top 2 things that the Congress has to do right now, any which way?
Beat any party, irrespective of which party it is. Every party wins, one by a narrative, one by the promise it brings to the people, and 2 through its organization. That is where the Congress right now is only functioning through narrative. It has to get its act together on the organization. It has to see how the BJP micromanages its electoral process, works out the finer details, how it strengthens, has a cadre which is committed, how it works at the organizational level. That is the thing that Congress needs to do. It has to go to the drawing board. It has to see who are its leaders at the regional level, who are the ones who can build an organization, can help the party win, and bring those leaders up so that it can do better in next elections. And it needs to learn to spend time in the opposition. That is one of the big problems with the Congress, that the Congress has not spent time in the opposition. That has, historically it has not. It has been a party always in power. So it doesn't know how to build organization, how to stay out of power, build organization, work on the ground, connect with the grassroots, and then come back to power with a vigor, with a strength which is unmatchable. Which is something that because BJP has spent decades in the opposition and survived as a party, it has a certain kind of resilience. That resilience is something that Congress needs to build within itself, and then, so that even in the bad times, your party or your grassroots organization does not disintegrate.
Absolutely. Liz, we'll be moving on to Delhi elections after this, and if you had to point out one thing that the BJP can take as a key takeaway from this entire experience of Maharashtra and Jharkhand, what would that be?
I think BJP is already on it because, like Diptiman mentioned, this meticulous planning, and the extensive work at the ground. Of course, BJP doesn't have a face in, as of now, it doesn't have a face in Delhi also, and that also against a popular figure like Arvind Kejriwal. He's proved, he's tried and tested now. So the BJP will have to, to take encash the anti-incumbency factor, whatever it is, even if it is 10%, even if it is 20%, it has to work on that one. Second, the ground, the organization is still, it's not a strong organization for the BJP in Delhi. So now they have already appointed the election in charge. Party National Vice President Baijan Panda is working on it, and he has been holding this small meetings of party workers at the booth level, and that booth thing, from booth to the state machinery, the party has to work, especially when they don't have a face. And third thing, I think the narrative they have to set. One narrative is the whatever fallout of, whatever the diverse limitations of Arvind Kejriwal government. More than that, there has to be something that what they are offering. I believe that the BJP will be coming up with something like a program for women, welfare scheme for women much before election, maybe later this month or early next month. They will come up with, and they are zeroing in on the points which they have to work on, which because for example, they know that that the excise that the scam, for which Manish Sodia was in jail, and that doesn't have much of attraction among the public, but the Sheesh Mahal the issue has. So they will be they will have to also focus on such issues where they can actually quote unquote expose Arvind Kejriwal and the failures of Arvind Kejriwal wherever they have failed, because the Aam Aadmi Party's the biggest strength is that the lower strata support base. The BJP may have the urban support, or because Delhi has a lot of urban, maybe the youngsters also, but they have to work on it. And I think the party has already chalked out a plan for it, and we'll be seeing it. So I think these three things, they may not have a leader to have a face for their campaign, but they will be having this narrative one, basically to counter or expose or whatever Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party. They will be focusing on Arvind Kejriwal for sure. Then there will be the schemes, what all they can offer, because they have realized that the value of such schemes, not just in Delhi, because Arvind Kejriwal had won with that, and in the other states, like even including now in Maharashtra.
Absolutely. So those were the senior journalists at the Indian Express, Deepti Mantiwari, who said that the Congress needs to take a hard look at itself and know how to be a party on its own. And Liz Matthew just laid down a 3-pointer game plan for the BJP that they should target in the upcoming Delhi elections next year. Thank you, viewers, for watching us. I am Flora Swai, and you were watching the official YouTube channel of the Indian Express. Thank you for watching the live coverage of the Maharashtra and Jharkhand assembly elections. We will keep you updated as to what happens later in Maharashtra, who becomes the CM, what happens to the alliances and the regional parties individually. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the official YouTube channel of the Indian Express. Thank you for watching.